Welcome back, Patriots, for a special edition of The Bald Brad Show, which is our Dark MAGA podcast. This very well might be the last one that is hosted live on YouTube, Rumble, as well as X. We are moving Dark MAGA podcast specifically to evening shows, Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting this coming week. I wanted you to all get a taste of what we're doing here and how Dark MAGA is different than our normal programming, our normal 6 a.m. show. So again, couldn't be happier than to do a sporadic, unscheduled Dark MAGA podcast with the Patriots. And we're covering a lot today. We're going to be here for over 2 hours, folks. Just a heads up, possibly 3, 4, maybe more. We have a lot of catching up to do because we have the White House press briefing that took place before the whole shenanigans blew up in the Oval Office. We did post a short video yesterday on the about 2-minute, 3-minute clip between Zelensky, JD Vance, and Donald Trump, where they just slapped the shit out of Zelensky. And then they kicked him out of the White House, which was awesome. So we're going to watch that entire thing because I heard there was a little bit of some buildup going on before that whole slapperoo took place. I heard allegedly Zelensky called JD a bitch under his breath, and I want to see if it got caught on camera. So we're going to watch that whole interview. That's about an hour. And then I want to watch the follow-up interview of Zelensky on Brett Byers' show. So there's a lot of stuff I got to catch up on here. I want y'all to go through this with me, and it's going to be a hell of a ride. And look at this. Look at, I love Dark MAGA. Me too, baby. Me too. It's a little different. It's a little spicier. Well, here we have it. We missed it, and we're going to, catch up here on what really took place with the White House press briefing, because there's some big shakeups that are going to take place here. And let me bring you up to speed really quick. All these people and their seating arrangements, this is conducted by the White House Correspondents Association. And it's an association that basically gets to pick where people are seated, who gets to ask the questions, how it's all going to be handled. And then if there's any grievances, basically between the White House Press Secretary and the White House Correspondents Association, well, the White House Correspondents Association has a leader, and that leader will basically be the voice of all these people. And well, it's been a lot left-leaning, let's just say, for the last decade or so. And I think it's a good move to have a little bit of a switch up. You do not want to aggregate all your news outlets just by these 40 or 100 people, however many people are in this room. You should want to switch up and allow everybody have an opportunity to post what's going on out there in the ether, whether it's good or bad. So I like the shakeup, but let's jump into this. Enough of me rambling. It's not going to get spicy today. That's going to start Tuesday, Thursday when it's only Rumble Premium only. This is just a last minute thing. Let people see what Dark MAGA is all about, and we'll ramp it up and get a little bit more crazier as time goes on, because it will only be on Rumble Premium starting Tuesday, Thursdays.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
How are we today? Good. During his inaugural address, President Trump promised...
Excuse me, Zelensky. That's my new one right here. This is the Godfather. I need to put a ring. Excuse me, Zelensky. Shut your mouth. This is the new one. Before it was like this, right? When Trump gets fired up, this is the new one. Excuse me. Excuse me.
That America would be a manufacturing nation once again, and liberal pundits mocked him for it. But those critics were proven wrong once again. On the heels of President Trump's Oval Office meeting with Apple CEO Tim Cook last week, Apple just announced its largest ever commitment to American jobs and industry.
We covered that.
With plans to spend and invest more than $500 billion in America over the next 4 years.
It's a lot of money.
Over the course of the current Trump administration, Apple plans to hire around 20,000 new workers, creating high-paying jobs right here in America.
Love it.
And the investment isn't limited.
Joey could never do this. Yeah, why didn't Joey get this done, right? I mean, clearly Tim Cook is not a Republican. Just, that's obvious. But come on, Trump gets everybody to bend the knee, they bow to him. They bend the knee, they kiss the ring.
To one specific region of our country. Apple teams and facilities will expand all over our country in Arizona, California, Iowa, Nevada, North Carolina, Michigan, Oregon, Texas, and Washington. With President Trump in charge, America is open for business. Apple CEO Tim Cook said it best in the company's announcement. We are bullish on the future of American innovation. On top of this incredible Apple announcement, President Trump already announced more than $1 trillion in pledged investments into the United States. And on another important note that the American people entrusted...
Whoa, look at that money! Okay, let's break this down. I haven't seen this before. We got $600 billion coming from Saudi Arabia. The Arabs love us. Over 4 years from Stargate, $500 billion. Holy lordy. We got $500 billion from Apple. Whoever this is from Husan, $20 billion. And then the steel, we covered that one. That's $14.1 billion plus $1.6 trillion. The money, it's good. And, we're saving money from DOGE. I mean, the swing of the pendulum is going to happen pretty quick here if everything goes according to plan.
President Trump to fulfill. This administration's efforts to seal the border continue to prove extraordinarily successful. In President Trump's first month back in office alone, illegal border crossings hit lows not seen in decades, down 94% over the past year, while interior arrests are up 134%. And this past Saturday, this is a significant statistic that I wanted to share with all of you. There were only 220 illegal border crossings on Saturday. This is a 15-year low. Think about that in comparison to the amount of illegal border crossings we saw under the previous administration.
It's good. It's good to be winning. It really is, you guys. I'm still on election high. I don't know how long it's going to last, but this will never get old. That image of 94% is never going to get old. You know what? Let's make it 99. 99 is good.
Fox recently reported that a San Diego migrant shelter is closing its doors after saying they have not received new asylum-seeking families or individuals since January 20th.
It's amazing how that works out.
We all know what happened on January 20th, don't we? And yesterday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced that the massive Roosevelt Hotel migrant shelter in Manhattan will shut down in the next few months. We're also seeing a reverse migration effect. There are now verified reports from the Associated Press of migrants abandoning their journey to the United States and heading back home.
Go home.
This is the
bye-bye, don't come. Don't come. This is great.
First time the Border Patrol has received these reports since 2020, during President Trump's first term. The returning migrants claimed in interviews that the new heavy security posture adopted by the Trump administration was a significant reason for their decision to return to the countries of their origin.
But hold on, Caroline, I was told that, they're being persecuted. They're seeking asylum. There's drought. There's famine. How will they survive? I was told it was dire. No, they have to come here. You guys stop it in the chat. I see all you patriots. We were told by Democrats and these snowflakes that they have to come here. They will die. Now, remember, there's a lot of other countries they can go to. There's 193 registered countries under the United Nations, unless they updated it the last I checked. 193 other nations. So if it's so bad, Democrats, why could they not go to any of those other ones? The 192 that you could pick from. Not to mention the ones that are on the same hemisphere as us right now, that they walked across those other countries. It's amazing, right? No, they have to come here. Yeah, clearly it wasn't as bad as we all were told it was.
Overall, the American people continue to overwhelmingly give President Trump very positive remarks.
Yes, sir.
Nearly every one of President Trump's policy initiatives are receiving strong majority support. And I have noted that.
Out, Caroline, I wasn't looking. Simmer, girl. All right, let's look at this. Do you think that Donald Trump is doing a better or worse job as Joe Biden did as president? I think the pie speaks for itself, doesn't it? It's good. It feels good. Look, even Democrats, almost a quarter of Democrats, like, yeah, he's doing better.
Policy initiatives are receiving strong majority support. And I have noted that in every briefing since Inauguration Day. 81% of Americans support deporting illegal migrant criminals from our nation's interior. 76% of Americans support the DOGE-led efforts of a full-scale investigation to find and eliminate fraud and waste in government expenditures. Again, this is from a Harvard-Harris poll, a very legitimate pollster. 76% of Americans support closing the border. 69% of Americans support President Trump's common sense efforts to ban men from...
That's the spiciness we need on Dark MAGA Nights, Robin. And I'm going to read it here because I want everybody to get a little bit of a taste. No pun intended here with this quote. Oh, Lordy. Can't believe I just said that. What MAGA podcast is going to be like on Rumble Premium, baby? Robin here says, I guarantee that was the only time Kamala Harris said those words, don't come. Barf. I just threw it up a little bit. We're getting a little taste, like I said, no pun intended, what it's going to be like.
From women's sports, as you all know, we celebrated that executive order at the White House a couple of weeks ago. 65% of Americans support the president's efforts to eliminate all preferences by race in the hiring and awarding of government contracts, which is another pledge that DOGE is working hard to fulfill.
Doesn't this support the narrative that Americans don't like racism? Isn't this exactly what we've been saying as Republicans and conservatives, that, hey, we don't think that you should be hired and awarded contracts based on your race because that's racist? It's amazing how that works out, that a lot, but we're the most racist country that's ever existed, right, guys? We should really look into our unconscious biases of how racist and white supremacist we are. Folks, I get called a racist, a white supremacist. I'm sitting here saying, I think that based on your merit, your characteristics, your traits, that you should be able to do the same thing everybody else is doing, at least be given those opportunities. And I don't think anything should be qualified based under the characteristic of race. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't like racist. I don't like white supremacist. I don't like any of that. It's obvious.
And 61% of Americans, vast majority, support the president's plan for reciprocal tariffs to ensure that other countries are treating us the way we have always been treated. Despite what many Democrats and media members want you to believe, the Trump agenda is not only necessary, but it is overwhelmingly popular. Why? Because it's driven by common sense. And finally, as you all saw yesterday, a federal judge denied the Associated Press's emergency motion for a temporary restraining order against myself, our Deputy Chief of Staff Taylor Budowich, and our Chief of Staff Susie Wiles for our decision to remove the Associated Press from the White House press pool for certain and special events.
You got a restraining order?
The judge's ruling, upholding our decision to deny the Associated Press such privileged access, reinforces the truth. And it reiterates what I said from this podium last week when that suit was filed. Asking the President of the United States questions in limited spaces, such as the Oval Office in Air Force One, is a privilege that unfortunately has only been granted to a few. It is not a legal right for all. The Trump administration has already proven to be the most transparent ever, and this president, the most accessible in history.
He's definitely held up to it.
This is evidenced by President Trump's daily press conferences in the Oval Office, where he takes many questions from the journalists who have the honor and privilege of standing before the beautiful Resolute desk. The president and this entire White House are committed to ensuring the American people continue to receive this same level of historic transparency, access, and visibility.
Love it.
In fact, we want to double down and give even greater access to the American people. We want more outlets and new outlets to have a chance to take part in the press pool, to cover this administration's unprecedented achievements up close, front and center. As you all know, for decades, a group of DC-based journalists, the White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces. Not anymore.
Ooh.
I am proud to announce that we are going to give the power back to the people who read your papers, who watch your television shows, and who listen to your radio stations. Moving forward, the White House press pool will be determined by the White House press team.
Woo!
Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join.
You'll just be in the other room. I'm kidding. They'll be in there somewhere.
Fear not. But we will also be offering the privilege to well-deserving outlets who have never been allowed to share in this awesome responsibility.
Please.
Just like we added a new media seat in this briefing room, legacy media outlets who have been here for years will still participate in the pool. But new voices are going to be welcomed in as well. As part of these changes, we will continue the rotation amongst the 5 major television networks to ensure the president's remarks are heard far and wide around this world. We will.
All right. I know there's people in the White House Correspondents Association that watches the show every now and then. I'm sorry that you guys got kicked out for a little bit, but please get me in that room. Can you imagine my bald ass in there with my beard? Yeah, hi, everybody. I know you. I know you. Hi, way in the back. I know you. Because they do. And then I'm going to get a question in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to lunch with all those people. That would be the game plan.
We'll add additional streaming services, which reach different audiences than traditional cable and broadcast. This is the ever-changing landscape of the media in the United States today. We will continue to rotate a print pooler who has the great responsibility of quickly transcribing the president's remarks and disseminating them to the rest of the world. And we will add outlets to the print pool rotation who have long been denied the privilege to partake in this experience, but are committed to covering this White House beat. We will continue to rotate a radio pooler and add other radio hosts who have been denied access, especially local radio hosts who serve as the heartbeat of our country.
I think that's really cool because there's natural disasters, right, in local areas, or local areas are not seeing maybe the representation that they should be from maybe their elected officials or whoever it is. And that could bring awareness on a national stage by allowing them to come into this room and get their take on what Donald Trump thinks, because the locality radio stations, even news stations, are a lot more unbiased than what we're seeing by like CNN, even Fox News, to be honest, like those types of places.
And we will add additional outlets and reporters who are well suited to cover the news of the day and ask substantive questions of the President of the United States, depending on the news he is making on that given day. This administration is shaking up Washington in more ways than one. That's what we were elected to do. As I have said since the first day behind this podium, it's beyond time that the White House press operation reflects the media habits of the American people in 2025,
Boom.
not 1925.
Boom, baby.
A select group of DC-based journalists should no longer have a monopoly over the privilege of press access at the White House. All journalists, outlets, and voices deserve a seat at this highly coveted table. So by deciding which outlets make up the limited press pool on a day-to-day basis, the White House will be restoring power back to the American people who President Trump was elected to serve. So in that note, in our new media seat today, we have Shelby Talcott, who is a White House reporter for Semaphore. In 2022, Semaphore launched as a global digital news platform with the aim of bringing meaningful innovations to the news industry. Today, they have nearly 1 million newsletter subscribers spanning 11 separate editions. With that, Shelby, I will take your questions.
Can I just make an upgraded kind of observation here of what we could do with the White House press briefing room? Why can't we do teleprompters? And I'm not saying like the screens like faced in like this, where you're looking like that. Just throw a TV in the back, hook up a laptop to it, and just read from there. It's a lot better so you're not looking down at a piece of paper. And you can have multiple monitors up and just kind of look, and that's it. A quick speech read. And I don't know. I think it just would look a lot more professional for the White House itself. I don't care if it's a Democrat administration, Republican administration, doesn't matter to me. It would just look a lot better than, always looking down at a silly script every now and then. I think you should still have it on you in case the bad boy goes down. But I think that'd be a nice upgrade.
Thanks, Caroline. I've got two for you. One on foreign policy. Over the weekend, the president's special missions envoy, Rick Grenell, was talking about Venezuela, and he said that the president isn't someone who wants regime change. Other administration officials have made clear that they don't see Maduro as the rightful leader. What is this administration's policy on a new government in Venezuela?
I think the president has made his position on Venezuela quite clear. He stands in opposition to the Maduro regime, and Secretary Rubio has spoken on this extensively as well.
And then on DOGE, last night Elon Musk said that a failure to respond a second time will result in termination. Will there be additional rounds of the did you do this week email from DOGE to federal workers? And what's the guidance on the federal workers who've been instructed by their agencies not to reply?
So a couple of things on this. First of all, let's just take a step back and talk about this idea. The president sent out a truth last weekend to Elon Musk saying he loves everything Elon is doing and he wants him to be even more aggressive because DOGE thus far has proven incredibly successful in making our government more efficient. And so Elon and DOGE came up with this idea. Elon has implemented this at his private companies. It has proven
Trump wants the guy to be more aggressive? Hell yeah, baby, get rid of him, you're fired.
Successful. And it's a very simple idea when you think about it. All the Office of Personnel Management is asking, all this administration is asking, President Trump is asking, is for federal workers who live off of the American taxpayer's dime to send 5 bullet points of what they have done in the previous week. That is all we are asking for. And so the Office of Personnel and Management sent out additional guidance last night. Those responses should be directed to agency leadership, and the president defers to his cabinet secretaries, who he's obviously entrusted to pursue the guidance relative to their specific workforce. And for some of the agencies that you've seen who have said, please don't send these emails, it's in their best interest for that specific agency, and the president supports that. And let me be very clear, the president and Elon, his entire cabinet are working as one unified team, and they are implementing these very common sense solutions.
I love that. Clear as crystal, baby. And I like that Trump says he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to go in there and start kicking people in the teeth. I want old school New York style, baby. I love it. Scott asks a great question. Brad, what question would you ask? And as I wrote back in the chat, we've talked about this before. I have applied to be in that room. If I do get in that room, and I'm trying to have some of the people that are in that room kind of advocate for me. I'm hoping, please help me. But we would meet as a community of patriots. So we would have our own special town hall before I ever got sent to the White House to figure out what questions should we ask. So it shouldn't be based on what I want, right? Because this is a community of patriots. So if I'm going to be spreading conservative ideas, thoughts out to the American people, I'd want to meet with you guys and say, okay, what does the Bald Brad community want me to ask? And then we can kind of consolidate it down to a question or two. So that will be based on what you patriots want, not me. And I would be blessed to ask a question to the White House on your behalf.
You're welcome. Jackie.
Thank you. One follow-up on that question. So about the deadline, Alina Habba said that you have until tonight. Elon Musk said a failure to respond a second time would result in termination. So is that a real deadline? Should federal workers be looking to that guidance, or should they be looking to the agency heads? Like, what is the actual deadline?
So again, the agency heads will determine the best practices for their employees at their specific agencies. Again, this was an idea that Elon come up with. DOGE worked with OPM to actually implement the idea, and the secretaries are responsible for their specific workforce. And this is true of the hirings and the firings that have taken place. And we advise federal workers, unless your agency has dictated you not to respond to this email. In fact, I can announce that we've had more than 1 million workers who have chosen to participate in this very simple task of, again, sending 5 bullet points to your direct supervisor or manager, CCing OPM. I actually participated in myself. It took me about a minute and a half to think of 5 things I did last week. I do 5 things in about 10 minutes, and all federal workers should be working at the same pace that President Trump is working and moving. We have a country to save, and we want this federal government to be responsive to the needs of the American people who re-elected this president to have historic, massive reform. And that's what the intention of this idea is.
Can you clarify one thing, though? Because Elon Musk also said that a reason that they wanted this 5 things email was just to see if people are actually alive. Citing that there are some federal workers who might not even be alive. So meantime, NBC is reporting that these responses are going to go into an AI generator to evaluate whether these jobs are necessary. So is it just to see if people are actually working, or is it an effort to maybe cut some of those jobs?
Why can't it be both? We know that there's more subscriptions than there are employees. The subscriptions aren't even being used. And I don't see why what Elon is doing here to make sure that, we're just not handing out, frivolous paychecks to people that don't exist, but yet somebody's still cashing them. or they're being sent out to people that aren't showing up to work or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. We all know the government, some of the officials are lazy. It's not a big deal to me what Elon is doing. And also, it's not a big deal for me to utilize artificial intelligence as a tool for data collection and analytics to figure out, is this job really necessary or is it not necessary? Now, I think there should be something more than just having AI do the work for you. And let me explain. I teach statistics. We utilize our calculators to help us cut corners, but we still show our work so that we're able to see the flow of it. The calculator is just going to tell you what you tell it to do. So your calculator can spit out the wrong answer, but you need to analyze your data, or in other words, your workflow, to see if your answer actually makes sense for said decision that's going to be, ultimately populating here on out from your own analytical observations. So I don't see a problem with having it be used for both.
I've not seen that NBC News report, and I haven't heard that from DOGE or from Elon himself. Again, this is to ensure that federal workers are not ripping off American taxpayers, that they are showing up to the office, and that they are doing their jobs. That's what the American people expect.
Like what I just said.
And it's a very simple task to complete. I did it myself, and I was more than happy to do it because I'm very grateful that I am serving the American people on the American taxpayers' dime.
Do you think DOGE should hire a spokesperson just so that Elon Musk doesn't put out tweets that then confuse federal workers?
Are my press briefings not good enough for you, Jackie?
Oh,
Done.
Jackie! Yeah, baby! I love when two hot chicks kind of jab at one another, but in good faith. Jackie liked that because you saw the smirk. I haven't seen her smile like that in a couple years. She liked that. It's a little jab back and forth. They like one another. And Jackie understood the sarcasm in Caroline's voice. I love that. Two hot chicks that are intelligent, have a little bit of fun together.
That then confuse federal workers.
Are my press briefings not good enough for you, Jackie? John.
Carolyn, thank you. In the ruling by Judge McFadden yesterday, who dismissed the lawsuit that AP brought against yourself and your team members here, President Trump, in there he said, why not just do away with the entire White House Correspondents Association along with it, because essentially they have no authority. They just usurped it. What is your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, John, it's great to see
That's a pretty good question, actually.
you. And you are one of those individuals who has you're on a streaming platform that hundreds of thousands of people tune into every day. So it's great to see you in the briefing room.
More than CNN.
I did address that actually in my opening remarks by announcing that the White House press team in this administration will determine who gets to enjoy the very privileged and limited access in spaces such as Air Force One and the Oval Office. There are, as you know, look at this room, hundreds of journalists who show up to this building every single day and are not granted that luxury of flying on Air Force One and asking the President of the United States questions. And so we want to ensure, again, everyone has a seat at that highly coveted table. But alas, the legacy media outlets who have been doing this for quite some time and have invested resources into covering the White House, their spots will remain, just like they have in this briefing room as well. Sure.
One of my jobs is, as obviously somebody that does a podcast, and obviously the White House press briefings have been our bread and butter for 4 years now. We've done almost every single one. We know the people in the room. They know us, blah, blah, blah. As somebody that's a new White House press secretary, my job, one of them, is to see how she's upgraded in her skill, how she's actually advanced in it. And early on, within her first 1 or 2 press briefings, she made a mistake in something that I think should be corrected, and she has corrected it here. And I want to remind you all what that mistake was in the first couple briefings. She said she got a question, and she told the reporter, well, I've already answered that before. My response, and it was like that with Karine Jean-Pierre, it was like that with Jen Psaki. I don't care if you've already answered it. You have an opportunity to answer it again. Just because you said it here, or you said it there, or you said it 5 minutes ago, you have an opportunity to still expand upon that question, or thus that answer you gave previously. You can have an opportunity to address it in a different light. You could spin it in some way, shape, or form. It is a moment, an opportunity given back to you to actually get the news and information out to the American people. She said there at the beginning, oh, I already answered that in my opening statement, and then continued to answer it again. Phenomenal job, and I hope she did learn from that previous mistake, because look at how well that came out. There was no animosity behind it. Maybe somebody missed the question, but it was an opportunity for her to drive a narrative from the Trump administration of what they want to do here. Love how she handled that.
Steve.
Could you give us an update on the negotiations around the Ukraine minerals deal, and when is President Zelensky going to come visit?
So the president talked
Oh, we'll be getting to Zelensky right after this. We'll watch that whole thing.
at length about this yesterday, the critical minerals deal with President Macron, and in the more than hour-long press conference he gave all of you in the Oval Office himself. There hasn't been significant updates since the president's remarks last night, but I will just reiterate his position. It's critical that this deal is signed. He expects President Zelensky to sign a deal. This is to recoup American tax dollars that have been funding Ukraine's national defense. And it's also great for the Ukrainian people who have been put through hell because of this war. And it will create a lasting economic partnership as Ukraine will need to rebuild their country because of this brutal war.
And just to follow, is Steve Witkoff delayed his trip to the Middle East so he can concentrate on this minerals deal?
I don't want to comment on Mr. Witkoff's travel plans or read anything out just for obvious reasons, but he, remains very much working. That man is working around the clock to secure this deal with Russia and Ukraine alongside Secretary Rubio and Secretary Bessent, General Keith Kellogg. He's also working very hard to secure a peace deal in the Middle East as well. So God bless him, and he's working alongside the president every single day. Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. The president's executive order creating DOGE called for the naming of a DOGE administrator. Who is the DOGE administrator?
So the president tasked Elon Musk to oversee the DOGE effort. There are career officials and there are political appointees who are helping run DOGE on a day-to-day basis. There are also individuals who have onboarded as political appointees at every agency across the board to work alongside President Trump's cabinet to find and identify waste, fraud, and abuse, and they are working on that effort every day.
So is Elon
Reagan.
Musk the administrator?
Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two for you today, one on the border wall and
Who cares who the administrator is? What does that matter?
one on the DHS investigation.
Sure.
First on the border wall. Border wall construction has restarted in Texas and California under contracts awarded under Trump's first term.
There we go.
Is the president looking to secure new contracts, and
I
how is
hope
he
so.
defining success in terms of border wall construction this administration?
Here
The
we go.
border wall is a signature promise of President Trump's campaign. He talked about it way back in 2015 and 2016, and people laughed at him for bringing up this idea. It's proven to be not only an idea that he delivered on in his first term and continues to deliver on in his second term, but it's also proven to be highly effective. In fact, we know where there were parts of President Trump's border wall built and standing under the previous administration, illegal border crossings dropped 87% where there was a border wall. So the wall is an incredible deterrent factor for illegal migrant caravans. The president is committed to the continuation of the construction of the wall. And, the previous administration actually sold off the resources that the Trump administration secured to build the wall. And that's an egregious misuse of the American taxpayers' money.
Damn
They just
right.
let those resources rot on
Damn
the southern
right.
border. They actually sold them for pennies on the dollar. So this administration, DHS and ICE and Customs and Border Patrol and Tom Homan and all of the great people who are working on this effort are committed to continuing the construction of President Trump's border wall.
DHS investigation into people who might be leaking within the administration. Will the White House release the names of the individuals that DHS Secretary Noem said were caught leaking details
Here we
of the
go.
ICE raid? And can you share how many leakers have been caught so far and what agency they were a part of?
I would defer you to DHS on the leakers that they have identified, but I know the president and this White House commend Secretary Noem for launching an internal investigation to identify those leakers because it's unacceptable for career bureaucrats who are standing in the way of the will of the American people and enacting President Trump's agenda. If they don't want to adhere to the will of the 77 million Americans who reelected President Trump, then they should go find another job. And if they
Damn.
continue to leak information, especially information that is critical to protecting Border Patrol agents and ICE agents who are out there doing jobs that not many people are willing to do, putting their lives on the line to protect our national security, then those individuals absolutely should be fired. And this administration is committed to finding them.
That is some stern stuff. You don't like it? Find another job.
Sure.
Caroline, two questions for you. One related to Guantanamo Bay, the other to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
She's right here.
I wanted to get your response to some Washington Post reporting of the migrants who stayed over at Guantanamo Bay for the last 2 weeks. They told the Post they were rarely let outside. They were shackled and placed in what they described as cages and alleged that they were not treated as human beings.
Here we go again. This is the 2016 theme all over again. They were in shackles. They were in chains. They were incarcerated. It is Gitmo, mind you, and you're being deported. And a lot of those people are going there are criminals.
The White House have any response to those conditions?
At Guantanamo Bay? It's a promise the president campaigned on, that if you invade our nation's borders, if you break our country's laws, and if then you further commit heinous, brutal crimes in the interior of our country, like raping and murdering innocent, law-abiding women
there you go.
And girls, and committing heinous acts of violence, then you are going to be deported from this country, and you may be held at Guantanamo Bay. These are criminals we are talking about. Don't forget that.
There you go.
Sure.
What a stupid question, by the way. That was a stupid question. But you ask a lot of stupid questions. You remember when Trump said that?
So U.S. consumer confidence fell this month the most since August of 2021. What is your message for Americans who are concerned about the impact of things such as tariffs on prices?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for that question. It's obviously an important one. The president campaigned on reigniting the Trump economy and fixing the mess that was created by the previous administration. We know they created an economic and an inflation nightmare for the American people, and I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you like my predecessor did about the state of our economy. We understand there are people that are hurting, and this administration is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring that those individuals see relief and price reductions and tax cuts and in less regulations that are burdensome on their household and their businesses. And the president and this entire administration are focused on that every day. I can go through the very long list of economic actions this president has taken. I know you work for Bloomberg, so I'm sure you're well aware of them, but I can assure the American people that the president is very much focused on bringing down the cost of living crisis in this country that was created by the previous administration.
And I'm going to give Trump a couple years on that one. There are some things that you could do that will have short-term effects, but most things are long-term. The egg prices, folks, aren't really going to change all that much. I mean, you killed millions of birds because of this bird flu. That seemingly is not going away. Now, one of the ways they're trying to tackle that is, do we really need to kill off millions of birds, like just completely eviscerate whole areas, or can we be more targeted in terms of how we are doing it? So the egg prices, well, you're going to need to birth more birds, and when you birth more birds, you get more eggs, and well, that helps supply and demand. So it's going to be a while till that one gets caught up, but you know, the tariffs are in effect too, and that's going to hurt us as well. You're basically going to pay more for a good or service if it's built across overseas than it would be necessarily here. That might offset some things. So tariffs are going to hurt us, but the hope is that kind of what he's doing long term will kind of account for those imbalances. That's the hope. We'll see if it works.
Can I just have a quick follow-up?
Sure.
Is the president planning on whipping any votes for support for the House budget vote? And if so, to whom is he making calls?
I'm not aware of any calls that he has made. I did talk to the president about his position on this just before coming down here, and he said that he's made it very clear to the Hill what his priorities for a budget are. He's said it to the Speaker of the House. He said it to Leader Thune. The Senate and the House know what President Trump wants and know what the American people want. And so he expects Congress to get it done. He's looking at the proposal from the House. He will also be looking at the proposal that I believe the Senate is drafting up as well. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions. Does the United States, I'm sorry.
I think she's right here.
Well, why don't you identify your question and I'll come back to you.
I'll be honest, I've never seen that happen before, where you raised your hand and you didn't have your question ready. I guess hundreds of these now. Wow.
Sure, go ahead.
So, what guarantee that Israel will withdraw from Lebanon soil after 2 weeks, as the ceasefire terms indicates?
I'm not sure about the guarantee that you're referring to. I can tell you that this administration remains very much engaged. We know the deadline for the phase 1 ceasefire is imminent. So Steve Witkoff, whom I mentioned earlier, and the president's administration and his team and the president himself remain very much engaged. We want to see the ceasefire continue, and the president has made it very clear he wants to see all of the hostages who have been held in captivity in Gaza returned home. Jeff.
Carolyn, I was wondering if, is Elon Musk going to attend the president's first cabinet meeting tomorrow?
He is, as a matter of fact. I spoke to the president about that before coming down here as well. And Elon, considering he is working alongside the president and our cabinet secretaries, this entire administration will be in attendance tomorrow just to talk about DOGE's efforts and how all of the cabinet secretaries are identifying waste, fraud, and abuse at their respective agencies. We look forward to the meeting tomorrow, and I think you'll be hearing from the president and his cabinet where they're on campus tomorrow. I hope you guys are excited.
Since some of those cabinet members were caught off guard by the email
Nobody was caught off guard.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Just interrupts him, doesn't let him sneak that one in there. Because what that gives a premise on is Elon Musk is going to be with the cabinet members. And the premise here is that, oh, there's not communication happening within the cabinet members and the different executive parts of the executive branch. It's completely BS right here. So I love that she called him out on that.
A few departments said they were caught off guard. The FBI was, the DOJ was.
Did anonymous sources say that, or did the cabinet secretary say that?
Oh, baby. And now you're challenging him. Now, here's the thing. She has to know her shit here. Because as much as we think CNN is dumb, these people sit in the room all the time. So we'll see if this guy knows his stuff. Or Caroline, one of them's about to be smacked across the face. And I think it's going to be him.
Cabinet secretaries and others have said that they were not aware that this was happening. So I'm wondering, like, will there be a give and take tomorrow
BS.
At the cabinet meeting? Is
Follow up
Elon
and
Musk
ask him.
the president
Ask him who the cabinet secretary was. Right, that's where you'd want to know.
Open to any type of dialogue?
I'm calling him on
who
bluff.
is actually in charge of the chain of command of these workers.
I would reject the premise of your question, Jeff.
There you go.
The cabinet secretaries have not said that. I know anonymous sources, probably career bureaucrats, have leaked that to many of you in this room.
Boom!
But as I said at the beginning of this press conference, everybody is working as one team, and the president respects the decisions of his cabinet secretaries to tell his staff, their staff, not to respond to that email because they did so out of interests of national security, and they don't want to obviously risk confidential information. It's pretty common sense. Dasha.
Musk has obviously been doing a lot of work. He's been working every day and a lot of the time weekends. He is designated as a special government employee, which means that he can only work 130 days per year. Is the White House expecting him to limit his work to 130 days, or are you going to work around those rules? Do you want to see him extend beyond the 130
So today
days?
is February 25th, so I think we've been here about 35 days, roughly. So ask me in another 100 days. Daniel.
Caroline, thank you. You opened up with a major announcement from Apple. $500 billion, 20,000 jobs, doubling its advanced manufacturing fund.
Yeah.
What does that signal that such a global brand would make what it called its largest ever spend commitment just a month into President Trump's second term? What does that signal about his economic vision for the country?
President Trump is a deal maker, and he has restored confidence in business leaders around this entire world. Apple is one of the largest companies on the face of the planet. They employ hundreds of thousands of Americans, but the president wants to see more Americans employed, more investments here in the United States of America. And this is another fulfillment of the president's campaign promises. I recall President Trump at his rallies on the campaign telling the world that if and when I am elected, America is going to be back, and we want your investments to be driven onshore. We want you to hire American workers, and you will have the lowest regulatory burden, the lowest tax cuts, and the president has already proven he's committed to slashing regulation. He's counting on Congress to implement those tax cuts. And so people are encouraged by the president's, again, as Tim Cook called it, they're bullish about American innovation because of the leadership of this president. And it's a stark contrast to the leadership of the previous administration, Joe Biden, who I don't think spent any time trying to recruit any investments or jobs here at home.
Q with $20. Holy lordy. Thank you so much. Saturday with Bald Brad. Awesome. Love that. Thank you for that $20. And thank you for being a member with the Don't Tread on Me badge already in place. Love that. I also love the fact that she's bringing up that This is what Donald Trump said on the campaign trail. And if you notice, she keeps bringing that up. This is what he campaigned on. This is the promise that he made. This is what the American people voted for. And Democrats can't say, well, they did, but they didn't because in prior years, you didn't win the popular vote. No, we won everything here. We have all three branches of government. We won the popular vote and we won the electorate. So we have everything. It is a tough argument to go against what Donald Trump is doing when you can say by objective truth that this is what the American people wanted. So if you're questioning Donald Trump on his motive and how he's doing things, aren't you also questioning what the American people wanted? And that's a tough one to swallow from the media here. And that's why they can't push back as much. On some things they can, but the things that Donald Trump promised that he's still on the campaign trail and that he's fulfilling, they can't really push back on that one.
Mary.
We're hearing from some Republicans who are voicing concerns about how these cuts are being carried out.
Oh, God.
Congressman McCormick, a Republican from Georgia, tells us he's worried it's too rapid for real people to adapt to. And he says he's concerned that it could come off as discompassionate, in his words, that it could risk undercutting the strong message that he feels you're trying to send about the need to cut government waste.
You want to know what wasn't compassionate is putting out checks that are wasteful or laundering money or embezzlement. See, that's what is wrong with what was taking place. But you have your panties in a bunch because all of a sudden things are happening at rapid pace because we need to make America great again. And we only have 4 years to do it before you scumbags have an opportunity maybe to do it again of making it worse, meaning what Joe Biden did if we don't win the White House once again. We'll see in 2028. But I hate how the premise here is always, well, how is it this with the waste and fraud, but people are being laid off? It's not very empathetic. You're not doing things the right way. How about the empathy and the way they handled the checks going out, paying for the transition of dolphins in the Atlantic or the Pacific, or you wanted to trans penguins in the Antarctic, or you wanted to send $59 million to Mozambique for condoms? Like, why is that never part of the conversation? Why are they always questioning what Elon Musk is doing, but never questioning, hey, where actually is this money going? Where did it go to? Hey, just a question, where did that lady or guy that was over like 300 years old, older than our country's ever existed, where did that money go for Social Security for that person? Just a question on that one. Notice there's no investigative journalism happening here. Nobody's worried about, hey, how did that happen? Who was the person that actually put that kind of idea in the place of sending condoms somewhere? Who was that individual? Because this nut job here on CNN, oh, well, a cabinet member said that they were surprised by the email. But no questions as far as the waste, fraud, or spending of exactly who was the one that was doing it. That's what frustrates me. That's why these people should lose their seats.
Well, I think that was one comment from one senator, and I think, as I cited in my opening remarks in the poll, the most important people are the American people, and 77% of Americans at home support a full investigation into the waste, fraud, and abuse that the federal government has been spending their tax dollars on.
There you go.
So that's the people the president cares about most, and that's why we're fulfilling this pledge. And again, it should come as no secret to anybody. The president campaigned on doing this.
Actually, the president yesterday said if you don't respond to this email, you will be fired or semi-fired. What does he mean by that?
Again, I've been asked to answer this question 3 times now. It is
semi-fired.
But it's in the memo. The president again has entrusted his cabinet secretaries to oversee their workforce. That's why he nominated them to be cabinet secretaries.
There you go.
And so federal workers can be directed to their agency leadership.
There you go. She stated, I answered it 3 times, and then I'm going to answer it again. Very good job. Love that. I could tell she didn't like doing it, but you need to. And sometimes you gotta eat it sometimes. And again, as an educator, does it get frustrating answering the same question legitimately? I'm probably not exaggerating, 50 plus times throughout the same day. Yes, absolutely. But you still have to do it because it's part of your job. You still have to answer it.
Sure.
Great, thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask about a federal judge yesterday was saying that they didn't know who the DOGE administrator was and was asking the lawyer for the administration who it was, and the lawyer responded, I don't know the answer to that.
Who gives a shit?
Who the administrator of DOGE is?
Again, I've been asked and answered this question. Elon Musk is overseeing DOGE. There are No, Elon Musk is a special government employee, which I've also been asked and have answered that question as well. There are career officials at DOGE. There are political appointees at DOGE. I'm not going to reveal the name of that individual from this podium. I'm happy to follow up and provide that to you. But we've been incredibly transparent about the way that DOGE is working. John.
Again, I'm going to bring up this point, and I wish she would bring up this point as well. Why are they so curious on who the administrator is of DOGE, but they're not curious on who was the person, administrator or not, who signed off on sending hundreds of billions of dollars to other countries for bullshit initiatives? That should be the follow-up here from her. Why are you guys, as the press, so concerned about Elon Musk and the way that he's doing things, even though you have every right to be concerned about, but you're not concerned about doing investigative journalism of who's actually the ones that implemented this waste, fraud, and abuse? Why don't you do your fucking jobs and go out there and figure out who were the people that did this shit so they can be fired so they don't do it again? And yeah, I'm fired up because it's bullshit, and I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of these White House press correspondents acting like idiots all the time, and that's why I couldn't be happier that they're losing their freaking seats in here, because you guys are nut jobs and somebody has to tell you that. You guys don't do your jobs appropriately. You haven't done it for quite some time. And because you've been put on some bullshit pedestal because you're an association and that you have entitlements of being in those seats, well, that just got removed. And you see how people don't handle entitlements very well. Look at Zelensky and his ass just the other day, which we'll cover right after this White House press briefing.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Since your last briefing, there have been some personnel moves that have been announced by the president, and I wanted to ask you about them. One was the president replacing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown Jr. What was the reason for the president naming a replacement for General Brown? And then I'll follow up with another personnel announcement that's been made over the last few days.
He thinks he's doing a bad job, and it's time for a shakeup at the Pentagon. They failed 7 audits in a row. The trust in our United States military amongst the war fighters is low. The president is shaking up the Pentagon and the Department of Defense, of course, with Secretary Hegseth leading, and he has the right to do that. It's actually quite common from administration to administration to do such a thing.
Yes. I love that she called out they failed 7 consecutive audits. Nothing happens to them. But if you failed an audit, one of them by the IRS, guess what happens to you? Oh, you get interest and penalties from the time that said audit was taking place, meaning, what, 7 years that audits can be conducted back? Oh, let's do 7 years ago. Oh, well, you owe us money. Sorry, not only is that penalties and interest, but it's penalties and interest from 7 years ago accrued all the way to present day. Nothing happens at the Pentagon. And by the way, how could it? What are you going to do? Penalize them? For what money? You could fire them. That would be nice. Democrats don't want to do that because they'll bitch and complain. How could you let him go? You're so empathetic. Right? They can't talk because they're so hysterically crying that they're upset that you're letting go somebody that sent hundreds of billions of dollars possibly to terrorists or something like that. How could you? And then you put him in chains. You're putting him in prison. You're despicable, you bigot. This is how idiotic these people really are. I know it seems like satire and the things I say like that. It's part satire, part truth, mostly truth.
The president, when he swore him in as the chief of staff for the Air Force, called him a great man and a great gentleman. Does he distance himself from the remarks that he made back in August of 2020?
I think replacing him speaks for itself.
James. One other one, if I'm sorry. Thank you. On the FBI, the president.
That was nice of him to say thank you. Wow. That was nice.
Also announced a new deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino. From what has been reported, and maybe this is not accurate reporting, you can tell me, the FBI director, Kash Patel, informed Republican senators that it would be an individual named as the deputy who was a special agent currently at the FBI, and of course Mr. Bongino is not. Well, what was the reason for naming Mr. Bongino to this position, and was Mr. Patel not correct in making that assurance to those senators?
I'm not sure if anybody in this room has listened to Mr. Bongino when he talks about the past corruption at the FBI, when he talks about his experience serving for the United States Secret Service. This is a man who loves his country and who has honorably served our country in ways that many people have not. He understands the depth of the corruption at these institutions, which the American people re-elected President Trump to shake up. And I think it's quite despicable to see many three networks in this room who have had chyrons on their television screens labeling Mr. Bongino as a far-right podcaster. He is not. He is a former law enforcement agent. He is the former Secret Service agent who put his life on the line to protect this country, and that is why the President of the United States has entrusted him for this important role. He's also an outsider to this Washington swamp, and we often see that when outsiders are appointed to such coveted positions, a lot of people in this city get very, very nervous, and they should be, because Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Attorney General Bondi are focused on rooting out the corruption at these agencies and ending the weaponization of government once and for all. I'd like to end.
You go, girl. Hell yeah. That a girl sticking up for our boy Bongino. The Bongino army, baby.
With something, as you all know. You know what, James? I'm feeling generous. Go ahead.
I will take it. Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
I wanted to ask
Don't make me regret this.
I wanted to ask about the Macron visit and the Russia-Ukraine talks in general.
Sure.
It's pretty clear to my eye that President Macron was performing a kind of delicate dance, lavishing praise on the president while seeking in his own remarks to try to bind President Trump to positions and even specific language that the president has not committed to heretofore. One of the most bracing comments from President Macron was when he said that the deal that President Trump is negotiating with the Russians must not be, quote, a surrender for Ukraine. All of the public points that we have heard from President Trump, from Secretary Hegseth, and from other administration officials talking about these negotiations have averred to, quite openly, to concessions from the Ukrainians that will have to be made. The minerals deal, the abandonment of their NATO ambitions, and other elements. So far, we have not heard any administration official suggest a single concession that the Russians should be prepared to make. And so I wonder if you could assure us, at a minimum, that this negotiation process will not be as one-sided as the Europeans seem to think it is, that in fact, President Putin will also be made to engage in some concessions to reach this deal.
Well, I think the president knows how to make a deal better than anyone who has ever assumed the office of the American presidency. And in order to make a deal, you have to bring both sides to the table. And typically when you make a good deal, both sides leave that table a little bit unhappy. I'm not going to outline the concessions that the president and his team are engaged in discussing. These are obviously ongoing negotiations, and it would be unwise of me to impede them from this podium. But the president has made significant improvements in ending this conflict. He is committed to seeing an end to the war. He wants to see the bloodshed and the killing stopped. He wants to stop seeing young men being killed and slaughtered. This has been going on for far too long. The president inherited this mess because of the incompetence of the previous administration, and he's committed to fixing it. And he's made, some of those concessions clear, but I'm not going to get ahead of him on additional ones. But he is wholeheartedly committed to striking a peace deal in Russia and Ukraine, also in the Middle East. Thank you very much, guys. Good to see you. We'll see you later.
Heck yeah. All right. Killer White House press briefing from Caroline Levitt. Again, we are doing a special episode of the Dark MAGA podcast. This podcast will exclusively be on Rumble Premium only, starting Tuesdays and Thursdays coming up this week. Our normal podcast will be open to the public. That will be weekdays, as usual, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we go over all different news each and every morning. So this is not a normal podcast, folks. This is a special podcast that we do. And it will be moving to Rumble Premium only now that we are a content creator over there. So head over to Rumble if you can, and make sure you follow us over there and become a premium member. That way, you're not just supporting a good cause, meaning supporting Rumble for free speech, but also you could check out and hang out with us, which is going to be a lot more spicier podcast than what you're seeing right now, because we're also streaming on X and YouTube, and YouTube is a bunch of commies, so screw them. We have here the entire Oval Office segment that took place yesterday. Now, we did a short video of just the sparks between Zelensky, Trump, and JD Vance, but I want to see what led up to it, and I want to see how basically things were handled. Now, rumor is that at some point during this interview here, or questionnaire, however you want to put it, and here's the ambassador of Ukraine, I was told that Zelensky called JD a bitch at some point in this under his breath. And I heard that he did it in Ukrainian dialect, whatever the hell, I don't know. So I'm going to be trying to hear for that. I'll let you know if I hear it, but that was what I heard, which was one of the factors allegedly that contributed to JD kind of, slapping around a bit. We'll find out here. We're going to be here for a couple hours, folks. Come hang out with us by hitting that like and subscribe button. If you enjoy what you're seeing, follow us over at YouTube, Rumble, or X.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelensky of Ukraine. And we
couldn't even wear a fucking suit, dude. What a tool. Couldn't even wear a suit.
Been working very hard, very close. So we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually, beyond both countries. And we have something that is a very fair deal. And we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some of the rare earth. But it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States, and we appreciate working with you very much. And we will continue to do that. We have had some very good discussions with Russia. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close. It's something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal, but we've started the confines of a deal, and I think something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. They're losing thousands of soldiers. So on both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see it stop, and we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding. And we're going to be working very hard, but we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through. But your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. We've given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters, and you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while.
Well, here's some foreshadowing. That didn't happen. They threw his ass out of the White House.
Right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when they stop the shooting and we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, I'd like to say something.
No, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for the invitation. And really, I hope that this first document, will be a first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation, and of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees. Because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do. And of course, I want to discuss with you what the United States will be ready to do. And I really count on your strong position to stop Putin. And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States. And we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the
I ain't sharing shit with you. Screw that. Licenses? That means you have to give them the plans on how to build some. I don't think so. We'll sell you the weapons, but you ain't getting our freaking information how to build them. You little loosey-goosey little squirrel, dude. Screw that shit. You're corrupt. Your whole country's corruption, man.
War,
I'm giving you shit.
Our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you. And we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our...
Knowing him, if we sold him the license on stuff, he'd got to freaking turn around and sell it on the black market, which is happening with the missiles and equipment that we're sending him. That came out. That this dude, I don't know if it's him specifically, but Ukraine was sending and making millions of dollars through the black market through our weaponry. That just came out within like 24, 48 hours or something like that. I think it was last 24 hours. Folks, I always remind people this country has been corrupt for what, almost 2 decades, since 2004 at least. We talked about it when we were talking about the Biden family corruption, when Shokin was looking into this whole government and the corruption that was taking place. This guy lost double digits in terms of millions of dollars of our taxpayer money. And he goes, I don't know where it went.
People and children. And you know that these crazy Russians, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names. They changed their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back. And really, it's a big, big dream, task and goal for me and our warriors. By the way, Mr. President, we released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images. How it's just can I now?
Yeah, please.
One minute. I just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there, and that, so they don't eat, they beat them, and they,
I don't think any American is surprised by the atrocities that Russia is doing to prisoners. We make movies about it. Like, that's why the Russians are generally the bad guy in movies. And it's always talked about their prisons and how dilapidated they are and how terrible they are. And they throw them and they build them in cold climate and stuff like that. This is not a shock. By the way, it's odd to me that whenever Republicans or conservatives talk about Russia or Ukraine, it's always that Trump is pro-Russia and all this other stuff. No, he's not. And he's not pro-freaking Ukraine either. And neither is any Republicans or conservatives. We're not pro either one. We don't frankly give a shit about either one. We're just trying to figure out so people stop dying, and then we're called pro-Russia if we want to stop people from dying. Now, this is terrible. I'm just saying I'm not surprised by it, so I don't know why he's taking out photos. A lot of us aren't surprised.
It's a lot of bad things. So out of, even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will share with you. And I mean, it's looking tragic.
Yep, that's tough stuff.
Yeah, I wanted very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. At the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. And this is pastor, you see.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, so I mean this, I wanted to show you and this, so thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah, of course, we
And
want.
I think we will. I think we will. And
We have to, of course.
Do you have any questions, please?
Here we go. If you haven't hit that like button or that thumbs up, please support us by doing so. It really does help. It actually forces the algorithm without human intervention to send our videos out to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So appreciate your support, folks.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. With the, how much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And what we do have is protected by the environmentalists, but that can be unprotected, but still it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using that, taking it, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So it's something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil, and we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do. This puts us in great shape.
And on long-term security for Ukraine, how does this provide?
I think they're going to have great long. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think. We talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day, all they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000. And they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And, you know, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to, this is a tremendous amount of money, and what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but he had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected, because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But this is an incredible agreement for Ukraine, because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country.
Mr. President,
this allows us to do that.
Will you continue? Sorry.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe, because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they are our friends, and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
No. Okay.
I don't know. It's I could see it starting just from that. just from that. I mean, I think Trump took it as like being cutesy, but I think this is where I'm starting to see a little bit of it. I think because it was the first time, and obviously we know the end result of what happened, which is why I'm trying to look for those moments where I was like, where did this start? Where did it start? Where was that kindling? And where did it ignite? I think that was it. Trump played it off. I think JD read it differently.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a president of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington. But you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know. But I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak. And I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president.
There you go. I told you. So that was the beginning. And now here he goes. So I'm going to go back a little bit. Now we've begun. It still goes on for another 30 minutes. But you saw it. That original smugness, that was not a joke. Trump took it as a joke before. And now the second question, you see it. This is where it began. This is where the BS started happening.
Or Ukraine. Think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
The eye rolling.
Will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
To President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side? That the President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall.
We've had very, very good talks.
Military aid to Ukraine.
President Zelensky just said that there will be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you. Firstly,
he agreed. He just agreed to what that reporter said. There won't be any compromises. So right off the bat, what's the deal here?
are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. That's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile. To put it mildly, they've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. There's been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and...
What the fuck was that all about?
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy...
Do you see that? What a smug little dick. That's what he is. It's not your Oval Office. You don't have a right to... He's the one... It's his office, dude. You're here as a guest. That guy's going to dictate whether you get to answer questions or not. This is the entitlement. I've seen brats like this my entire life. They're entitled. This is the Democrat Party and how they act. They think that they're entitled to certain things. You're entitled to our money. You're entitled to that Oval Office. You're entitled to answer questions. No, you're not. This is the boss. This is Daddy Zelensky. This is the ring that you kiss, my friend. Without this man, you have nothing. Without the American people, you have nothing. You'll find out really quick, because I'll tell you what, power from Europe ain't still going to save you, my friend. So you're fucked.
will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars. And then I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to, thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and by the way, we won it by a lot. That was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things. I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting the dignity of this office.
I will wear.
I have a problem with him not wearing a suit. It's one of the highest forms of respect that you could do is to wear somebody else's culture's garb. And one of the things that shows a lot of respect and dignity towards someone else is dressing up, wearing a suit here in the United States of America. When you go to funerals, you dress up. When you go to weddings, you dress up. When you meet the president of the United States as a form of respect, you dress up. I don't understand why he doesn't get that through his thick head. It doesn't look good. You look like a weasel. You look like a brat. You look like an idiot. You don't look like a leader here. You don't look like somebody that's here to negotiate. You don't look like a businessman. You look like an idiot. You look like some dude that just got done doing fucking yard work and his wife pulled him into the room to heckle him a little bit. That's what this guy looks like.
Their costume after this war will finish. Okay. Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
Something like
Yes,
yours,
sir.
yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President
Thank
Trump.
you.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had, and we're treating, you know, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started.
Correct.
But, you know, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
That's Caitlin Collins, I think.
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Question? Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. President, thank you.
Yeah, Trump's in control, baby.
Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American News does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, you know, we're very much
watching
involved.
This guy? I will circle when he's doing all this smug bullshit. That dude, I'm telling you, that would drive me up a wall. And I think Trump is not seeing a lot of his mannerisms and the way that he's acting because Trump is looking in the opposite direction, right? He's looking this way. So he can't see how his facial expressions are, the rolling of the eyes, the moving, the twitches, all this shit. I'm telling you right now, it's driving JD Vance up a fucking wall. And yeah, I'm cussing because this is bullshit. And somebody needs to stick up. Trump can't see it, or I don't think he notices it. JD has Trump's back. And this is how you know JD Vance and Donald Trump is a great duo, because that's the end result of why JD ends up getting pissed off, is because this guy is a little shit right now.
Involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement, because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve.
Vance is a 100% noticing, yeah, because Vance has a direct angle to him. Because Vance is sitting on the couch along with Marco Rubio, and he sees everything on that side. He sees the ambassador. He sees everything.
But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer, sorry, please. Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other. But you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed.
I like this guy. I don't know
I think
him.
he's dressed beautiful.
So I have more. I have more serious things than answer on such
Yeah,
questions.
sure, that's
I will
okay.
answer on more serious
That's a good
questions if I can. Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work, because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times.
He's correct.
He broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president. You were the president during. He never broke to me. In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. You know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough.
No, they're
if
not.
we're not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land.
Russia's not scared of your soldiers, dude. That country could wipe your ass off the face of the earth if they wanted to. It's like us in Vietnam. They're toying with you, bro. And the only reason you're even remotely in this and it's lasted this long is because of us. And I'm not a pro-Russia guy. I just want to emphasize, I'm just dealing with the reality here.
Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes? Why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance, connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans.
And maybe you should pick up on that, because if you don't have us, you don't have anything. Meaning you don't hold any cards in your hand. Matter of fact, Europe doesn't hold any cards in their hand. We are the dominant superpower of the allies, and guess who protects everybody else? And this is the thing, folks. This is why you want to follow me on TikTok. I'm telling you, if you get in that comment section, you could see the outlook of how Democrats in other countries view the world. They've been so entitled for so long, and they've had security measures that have been granted on behalf of the United States by basically paying for their defense. And that comes not even in the form of literally selling them weapons. That just comes in the form of us existing through NATO. You would be royally effed if it wasn't for us. And I think a lot of people around the world forget that. It's the American military, the American might, that is keeping other countries safe. And it's because of the fact that you don't even have to spend a lot of your budget on military defense, because we back your asses up over everything. That's the reason why you're even prospering to the level that you are. I guarantee you, the second you have to start paying for your own budget and your own defense military with that budget, you're going to see a lot of things change here. And you're going to see a lot of things in Europe have to change really quick. Europe ain't going to be enough here. And that little smug little shit, he's about to find out real quick.
This is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems. And we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop. And will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe
he's
with
correct
your
here.
team also. I don't know. But with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation such language and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay.
This question,
This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay. This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has
this
to
guy's
pay
an idiot.
all money for innovation.
He is right that generally throughout warfare, the team that lost, we'll call it, ends up having the team that won pay and rebuild, kind of like what we did with Germany, right? The United Kingdom had taken part in that. France had taken part in that rebuilding of the Axis powers in terms of, things that were blown up. If this guy thinks that Russia's going to pay for the rebuilding of Ukraine, you're out of your mind. The security measure that he's talking about, by the way, let's just call it what it is. He wants to be a part of NATO. That ain't gonna fucking happen.
He has to pay.
That ain't gonna happen.
Of course, some Russian assets would be
Trump would pull out of NATO, and then Europe can defend itself then at that point.
have in Europe about 300 billion. We can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
I ask under these circumstances, do you envision a trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelensky?
Wait, 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between.
There you go.
Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful. But we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
please, go ahead.
Ask you about the agreement again today. What changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
what was the deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed. I didn't think we were going to make a deal, and we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, why and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know, but well, they don't like each other. I can tell you that. Okay? They do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you Right now, there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the anyway will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president.
They helped you, but let's be real. Nowhere near to what we're doing, which is doesn't make sense. Like Trump said, there's a giant ocean between us, a massive, beautiful ocean. If Europe really understood, they would have contributed more. Come on, let's be real here.
As I said, you have big, nice ocean.
There you go.
Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been...
It's possible what Zelensky's saying is true. Like the fact that if they were to run roughshod over Ukraine, take over it, well, now they're right on the border, take the Baltics, and then potentially Poland. And now once you attack a NATO ally, right, which is why we can't have him be a NATO ally, you have just automatically created World War III. And that's not fun because I don't want to go to war. I would be sent off through a draft. I don't want to go to war. I like my job of hanging out with you people in a nice air conditioning place, right? I like my life. I don't want to go into a World War III.
They've been in the USSR, you know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact.
There's
and
truth
when
to that,
he will
yeah.
go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is known to be a dirty area of the Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No,
and a lot of
things
have
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive.
I don't want him going over there. I don't even want him going out of the White House to go golfing. This guy has a freaking massive target on his head. Literally, though. I don't want him going to freaking Ukraine. Hell no, I don't. I don't even trust your ass. You're slimy, bro. For all I know, you got some inside work poisoning this guy's food or something. Mr. President, stay where you're at. You don't need to go over there. You got satellite imagery. We can look at pictures all day. You can send us pictures like you just did. Send us pictures. That's fine. It's fine. We can see the destruction, nice buildings that way.
And people work and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything.
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Mr. President.
That's a lot of people, man. 700,000 for just dirt, man. I mean, that's all Putin wants, right? He wants to take over Ukraine because he thinks Ukraine is a part of Russia, has always been a part of Russia, blah, blah, blah. And all these guys, man, grew up with families, right? That's somebody's son, somebody's husband and father, and they died because of some fucking dirt.
More. I mentioned Poland.
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that?
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good, and I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do, is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on his behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco. And we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made of Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Mr. President.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas?
So if you're curious, this is Caitlin Collins of CNN, which is why he thinks it's a great question. And I'm assuming the question is going to be proposed since it's close to the front lines and you're going to be having Americans digging up or whatever. I'd imagine you're going to have Ukrainians digging up the minerals and giving them to us.
Areas if you're,
so let me go back.
Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian forces?
They'll be protected. The agreement will protect them.
U.S.
The
forces?
agreement, yeah. We're signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these
There you go.
questions.
There you go.
Focus on surviving because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Please go.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal.
There you go.
You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work.
There you go.
I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the
people don't get this on the left and the Democrat Party. I always say, like, oh, you got to understand. I know you guys get it, but Democrats fully don't understand that when he says nice things about Putin, he doesn't literally mean it. The guy's a businessman. He knows that he needs to charm both sides. You're not going to get any deals done, and you're not going to gain any ground if you just keep calling a guy a dictator and a fucking smug little shit to his face, and then you're doing the same thing to the other guy. Well, now, who's going to listen to you? He's playing these people, and this is all part of it. And I know Putin's not enough of an idiot he could see what Trump is doing, but he even kind of likes that because Putin is a freaking odd duck. He's a weird guy. But the Democrats don't understand. Oh, you said something nice about Putin. He's playing them, you idiots. God. Oh, he's pro-Russia because he said something nice about Putin. Because they're not, I'm telling you folks, it's the oddest thing. They're not able to actually see all the variables and degrees of why Trump does something and then formulate a cohesive thought or a coherent one. It should be studied. I really do mean that. I mean that. I put my hand on the hand of God. I really do mean that. You should study Democrats and progressive left's thinking because the incapability of making connections, utilizing different variables and coming to some sort of solution to it, it's really a phenomenal thing. It's a phenomenon that I haven't been able to understand, and I don't know when it started, and I don't know where it's going to go, but it's not going to lead to anything good for the Democrats. I'll tell you that. So let the president finish.
The good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either.
There you
go. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way.
I'd be so tough.
That's the way
There you
it
go.
goes. All right, one more question.
There you go. Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country.
There you go.
The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions.
There you go.
What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
There you go.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied it.
This is the moment he fucked around and is about to find out. This is the moment that he just shot himself in the foot. And his entire country, by the way.
Big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014
2014.
and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him.
This guy's an idiot. And I'll tell you, I'm not just calling him an idiot because I don't just throw around that word loosely. It seems like I might. Trust me, I only call specific. AOC's an idiot. Ilhan Omar's an idiot. Rashida Tlaib's an idiot. Like Joe Biden's an idiot. Jen Psaki's an idiot. Karine Jean-Pierre's an idiot. Like I can name them by names. That's how loosely I just throw them around. This guy is an idiot. Oh, well, they broke the agreement. Everything he's saying is correct. Oh, well, they broke an agreement in 2014. Who was president then, you nut job? Who was actually running the United States then? That's exactly what is being said by JD Vance and Donald Trump, is that you have actual leaders in the White House and can get stuff done through the form of diplomacy, and they proved it in his first term, which is why Putin didn't do anything, and now you're being an idiot because you can't grasp simple concepts, which is why you're probably getting reamed right now. Dude. It's unbelievable. It's not hard. It's really not hard to understand.
Him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes.
This is what JD doesn't like. Now he has his arms crossed, and here we go. And mind you, he's already fired up. You could hear a little bit of the shaking in his voice earlier, which JD normally doesn't do throughout his speeches. He is fired up because he just sat through 42 minutes of this smug little shit rolling his eyes, being disrespectful, can't even show up to the White House. Not to mention, probably behind closed doors, he's acting even more smug and like an entitled little shit, and he's had enough of it, and he's not going to put up with this crap. So now you got a tag team match between these two. Here we go. Buckle up.
But if
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
There you go.
Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with.
This is an entitled. I'm telling you, I've seen this from students. I've seen it from adults. I'm seeing it on a leader world stage right now. Interrupting the guy that's giving you billions of dollars potentially. You're going to keep interrupting him? Are you fucking insane? I know you guys know this. I'm speaking to Zelensky here, not that he would ever see it. This guy sitting 1 foot away from you is going to dictate whether you get reamed in the ass or not. For some ungodly reason, he doesn't get that and has the balls to interrupt the guy that's going to dictate his life. I'm sorry to say, that's fucking insane to me. And that is every right to cuss right now. You got to be on a next level. I don't even know what you would call it, but you got to be next level idiot. Holy Lordy. I mean, you are stupid right now, which he found out, right? He obviously found out because they kicked him out of the White House. We'll get there and we'll continue in just one moment. I want to give this a read here to Outdoor Living. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for not only becoming a member, but also for the $2 here. This is why we voted for Trump and Vance. You said it correctly. That's exactly right. Finally, somebody sticking up for the American people, because we've had enough of this shit. And we've had enough of these entitled people. This guy ran with the Democrats, and it's showing. And that's why Democrats are upset with how Donald Trump and JD Vance are being handled. The situation, because they're not used to people smacking them around a little bit when they need to be smacked around.
With World War III, you're gambling with World War III, and what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October.
There you go.
Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save.
What is he speaking about? Let me fill it in, you little shit. You sat there he gave you a moment at the beginning of this whole press conference to say whatever the fuck you wanted. And you didn't say one single thank you, which we've brought up here so many times on the show from these freaking other countries who take our money and never say thank you. I don't care if you said it before. Every opportunity you get on camera, you should be thanking the United States of America for not getting your asses reamed by the Russians. Somebody has to say it out loud, and I'll be the one to do it. I know I'm not saying it in a glorious way. I know I'm not saying it very nicely, but I'm tired of being the nice guy. I'm tired of working multiple jobs. I work 3 jobs so my money can be sent to smug little shits like this, and they don't ever say thank you. I'm not asking for a lot here. Just a simple hey, thank you for working multiple jobs while the Democrats ream you, while your own government freaking fraudulently sends your money places, and then we take your money, meaning Ukraine, and we send it to wherever we want, including terrorists, and sell your shit in the black market. Yeah, I think a thank you is kind of deserving every time you're on camera. God forbid you do that. Thank you, JD, for pointing this out, because this is something we talk about all the time on the show. We ask, how many times in your lifetime have you ever seen any of the other countries, civilians or leadership, ever send a video out there in the ether going, thank you, United States, for the security that you provide our country. Thank you so much for providing the majority of NATO. Thank you for your aid assistance that you send us all the time. Thank you for this or that. Clearly, as you're finding out, we're sending fucking trillions of dollars everywhere. No thank you from anybody else. But when we call out this bullshit finally and start handling it like real men, which you got 2 alphas right here, JD Vance and Donald Trump, well, the left start going, oh, how could they treat him like that? They're ganging up on him and bullying him. How could they do that? How could he send and lose millions of your dollars? Answer me that, Democrats. How could he sit there and take millions of our military-grade equipment and sell it to terrorists? Explain to me that. Isn't that a little bullyish? Isn't that a little bit wrong? Oh, you pro-Trump, you pro-Russia now, blah, blah, stupid crap. No, I'm pissed. You should have kicked him out right there. I would have loved to see that.
Save your country.
I told you Dark MAGA is going to be a little bit more hyped, right? A little bit more spicy. I told you. Wait till we get on premium. It's going to be a little bit more than that.
Yes. You think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
We are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You
We
voted
gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but
You see Trump's hands? He's doing that. Your men are brave, but you're going to bend the knee to me, Zelensky, or you're going to get the fuck out of here. You're going to kiss the ring. I don't like what you're doing. I'll tell you what. If it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for these Americans, you'll be out.
they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military...
You want to know, I know I keep interrupting this, but you want to know exactly what this is? You all seen those cop videos where a Democrat or progressives pulled over and then they're completely in shock after when they get arrested because they decided to throw a temper tantrum and didn't want to listen to the cop. And so they effed around for a while and then they found out by being put in the squad car. Yeah, what's happening right now is Trump's a police officer and this is the guy getting pulled over. The guy getting pulled over is an entitled little shit and doesn't think anything's going to happen to him because there's no consequences. Well, he's about to fucking find out real quick.
Equipment.
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
There you
In
go.
3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
There you go.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to
Which tells me this was going on behind closed doors as well, which doesn't surprise me.
be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Interrupting him again.
You're
Yes,
running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire.
Gah,
I don't want a
gah.
ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
it doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With
Correct.
us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question.
Haven't I been saying that since the beginning of the war? This is the exact phrase I've been saying for 2 years now, maybe longer. Well, I can't even remember. Was it 2020, February 24th, 2022 was when they invaded or something like that? I've been saying this. He has no cards. We have all the cards. We have everything. So this guy to think that he can just keep interrupting, I'm telling you, man, it's it's bewildering. But I'm telling you, entitled people are bewildering.
Mr. Vice President, I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
Yep.
What
There you go.
if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do we do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
what if
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama.
There you go.
They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United
There you
States.
go.
And your people
There you
are
go.
very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out.
Yeah, you're aft.
I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it
Yeah, I don't
out.
think so either, sir.
But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. but you're not acting at all thankful.
There you go.
And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think?
And as you saw, they kicked him out of the White House. They were supposed to go and sign this deal and have a nice dinner or lunch, whatever the heck you want to call it, nice meal. And well, that didn't work out so well. So what we have is right after, I guess Zelensky went on Fox News. I don't know how they booked this one. Maybe it was already pre-scheduled and it just worked out that way. But here is Zelensky right after the White House went to a Fox News interview with Brett Baier. And well, here we go. I haven't seen this one.
Welcome back.
If you're enjoying the show, hit that like button, folks. It really does support us. If you're over at Rumble, hit that like button as well. It does help support the show. I wouldn't ask to do it if it wasted time. Thank you.
To special report, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Mr. President, thank you for the time today, especially on this day, to continue to do this interview. President Trump said after your meeting that you disrespect him and the Vice President and all of America in the Oval Office. Do you think you did, and do you think you owe an apology to President Trump?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this dialogue, and good evening to all your country, to all Americans. I'm very thankful to Americans for all your support. You did a lot. I'm thankful to President Trump and to Congress bipartisan support. And I was always very thankful from all our people. You helped us a lot from the very beginning during 3 years of full-scale innovation. You helped us to survive. Anyway, we are strategic partners. And even in such tough dialogue, and I think we have to be very honest and we have to be very direct to understand each other, because it's very, for us, very necessary to President Trump, and I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we, because we in Ukraine, we are in this war. We are in.
Look at how his tones changed, right? Oh, all of a sudden. Now with entitled people, again, hand to God, I have not seen this. This is how I'm expecting this to play out. With entitled people, after they realized how their actions have put them in a really tough situation, because that was the find out part. Well, now all of a sudden they change. Oh, right. I'm telling you, the analogy of somebody getting arrested is the best. They acted like a fool. Then they found out. And then now they're arrested, right? In their back of the car. Now their demeanor is going to change. Oh, well, I thought you meant this. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. No, you don't have to arrest me. I promise. I'll listen now. I'll do it. Oh, that crack was never in my ass. That's not mine, but I'll listen. This is how his demeanor is. He's going to be a completely changed man here. Watch this.
This battle for freedom for our lives. So I'm just telling that I think that we have to be on the same side, and I hope that the president on our side together with us, and that is very important to stop Putin. And I heard from President Trump a lot of times that he will stop the war, and I hope he will, and we need to pressure him with Europe, with all the partners. And I think this dialogue had to be a little bit earlier to understand where we are. Like, I don't remember exactly, but like President Reagan said, that peace is not just an absent the war. Yes, we are speaking about just and lasting peace, about freedom, about justice, about human rights. And that's why I said that I think so, that ceasefire, and Putin, he broken 25 times ceasefire during all these years, 10 years.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
There you go.
No, I respect the president and I respect American people. And I don't know if, I think that we have to be very open and very.
This is how stupid this guy is. I told you he's an idiot. I told you he's an idiot. All you had to do. He's talking this way, right? Brett goes to him. I didn't hear you apologize in your answer, basically. All he needed to do was look at the camera and say, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, I sincerely apologize for what took place in the Oval Office. I do think you are right. I think through my actions, through my words, through my demeanor, I came across as very disrespectful, not just to both of you, but also to American citizens. I want to not just apologize to the president. I don't just want to apologize to the vice president, but I would like to look into the camera and apologize to the American citizens. We are greatly appreciative of all the support you've given our country. I personally am very appreciative of everything you've given us. And I hope that my actions and my words and today's demeanor by myself, as a representative of my country, didn't dilute the relationships between the United States and Ukrainians. Again, I said I give a sincere formal apology to the president and the vice president of the United States for my actions today. Why is that? Guys, I'm an idiot in the closet. I am a knucklehead in the closet. I pulled that out of my ass. It could have been well done. It could have been better, right? But I'm not a politician. I'm an average Joe, drinking multiple, probably too many cups of coffee in here and doing that. Why can't that be done? I know we never hear anything close to that, but God, it's not hard. You got to eat your pride every once in a while.
Honest.
I have to eat my pride every once in a while by, I can't even get it out, but saying when Democrats do something right. It's hard for me, but I still do it. I don't like this guy. I'll still say when he's doing something and when he's correct. I was doing it during the Oval Office. I was saying, well, he's right here. I got to eat my pride. I don't like him.
And I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to.
I'm sorry. You know what? I may have misunderstood. I am so baffled right now. I think maybe I just misunderstood him. Hold on. Did he say we didn't? He doesn't think he did anything wrong there?
We did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to democracy and to a free media. But there are things where we have to understand the position of Ukraine and Ukrainians, and I think that is the most important thing. Yeah,
I'm not trying to be disrespectful to people with Asperger's. He might actually have Asperger's syndrome. Am I saying that correctly? Asperger's? Wow. This guy is just, he's far gone, man. I thought Joe was bad.
Yes, we are partners. You know, we're very close partners. We have to be fair. We have to be very free.
I'm told.
How you guys feeling about this? You let me know. I'm reading the chat. You guys don't like him, do you? Oh, thanks, Q. I appreciate it. That's nice. He is so smug. Yeah, it's the best word, right? Entitled, smug, and a little shit.
That you were told multiple times from lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the White House to make today about the minerals deal and the economic deal.
That didn't work
and
out.
then get it signed and let negotiations play out over security guarantees step by step. Is that true?
I said that we have to sign this document, and we are ready for this. And this will be the first step to security guarantees, but it's not enough. I think so. Maybe I don't know something. I don't know some details. That's why I wanted to share it with the president, my thoughts, and to hear him again, because he has a plan how to stop Putin. And maybe, as I said, maybe it's out of big conversations, but we have to share it. You know, this is so sensitive. You know, just a ceasefire without security guarantees, this is so sensitive for our people. I'm speaking like a president of a people who are in this struggle 3 years, and they just want to hear that America on our side and that America will stay with us, not with Russia, with us. That's it. But I'm sure that it will be this.
Why is he even talking like that? We've heard Trump say multiple times, we're not with the Russians and we're not with you. It's not even our war. You should be kissing freaking Trump's feet right now, the fact that we're even trying to do this for you. We could just say, peace out, man. We got our own problems. We're going to figure out our own shit. You deal with this yourself.
This is the first step to security guarantees. Europeans, we don't need to lose them. They are good allies for the United States. The United States is the most or the biggest donator support and of peace. But we don't need to lose Europe, and they also want to know next steps. We have to be very open to understand how to stop the war.
Right. But do you think the public spat in the Oval Office in front of the media served Ukrainians well today?
No. I think this kind of spat is I mean, this this is not good for both sides anyway, and
not good for both sides. It affects us none. What do you mean? What the fuck are you talking about? This is his delusion. He still thinks like, why would we be hurt out of this? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. It hurts both sides. No, it doesn't. The only way this makes sense is it hurts both sides with Russia and Ukraine. I don't know. I have to think about that a little bit on how you're getting there, but maybe.
Very open, but I can't, change our Ukrainian attitude to Russia. And I don't want, they kill us for us. This is very, very clear that Americans are the best of our friends, Europeans are the best of our friends, and Putin with Russian, their enemies. And it doesn't mean that we don't want peace. We just want to recognize the reality, the real situation.
President Trump is convinced that you will never sign a deal with Vladimir Putin. Is he right?
No, I think so. What I think, Ukraine wants peace, and we will have anyway diplomacy. We will have negotiations. I only said that I think so. It's about just and lasting peace. It means that we have to be very strong at the table of negotiations, and at these negotiations, Ukraine and Russia, like sides of this war, have to be, and the United States and Europe. That's what I said. So we are ready.
I want to point out, and that's why I said at the beginning of the Oval Office segment when I paused it, when the reporter said that he would not sign any sort of like contingencies on like a ceasefire or handling this whole thing, and he shook his head in agreement. That's why I spotlighted that. This guy's a problem, man. I think this guy is one of the main issues as to why there's not an agreement. Now, don't get me wrong. Putin's the one that invaded. The guy's a shithead. That's already baked into the cake. I want this thing solved. I think Putin does as well. I think this is partially his doing a little bit here because he wants NATO. He ain't budging. Yeah, NATO ain't going to happen, man.
Ready for peace, but we have to be in strong position. What does it mean? Just to know that our army is strong, that our partners with us, and that we have security guarantees. Am I not right?
Leaving the White House today, President Trump said this.
He's looking to go on and fight. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
What do you make of that? Do you want to continue fighting? Do you want peace? And if he had the opportunity to go back to the White House right now, would you do it?
No. First of all, we want peace. That's why I'm in the United States. That's why I visited President Trump. And thanks for invitation again. The deal on mineral.
Wow, it sounded like he really meant that, huh? And thanks again for the invitation. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It just doesn't look sincere to me. Danielle, what's up, girl? $9.99. Thank you so much. And you have the badge. The badges look good. That's not even the badge. That's the shield. That is you're our top tier. Thank you so much for the $9.99. And yes, damn right. God bless America. Love that. Give that one a thumbs up, Patriots. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's always good to see you in the chat.
It's the first step to security guarantees. It's meant for the peace, closer to peace. That's why I'm here. And we have tough situation. To understand it is to be in Ukraine. You saw it, Brad. You was once. Thank you again. So I think that's very important to understand what's going on. But
we don't have to be in Ukraine nowadays, dude, to see what's going on. I've seen the drone footage. It's horrible. I've seen the guys in the trenches doing hand-to-hand combat warfare, killing each other with a helmet. I've seen it all, dude. I don't need to go. This whole idea, like, you got to go over there and see it. You got to put the boots on yourself and get in the front lines. I don't need to do any of that. to know that it's horrific and just freaking terrible, something that you would expect to see in the pits of hell. I don't need to go there to see it and see the magnitude of it. I don't have to do that. In the same way, I don't have to go to Gaza to see the magnitude of their atrocities that are taking place. I don't have to freaking, I never understood that concept that, oh, well, you have to be in the other person's shoes for you to fully grasp it. Yeah, maybe there's truth to that with that word fully, but I can grasp a lot of the concept without actually having to be there and seeking out the actual experience myself. There's a lot of books that do that for people. That's why we have movies that can actually encapsulate you and take you out of the reality that you're in and put you in some other reality. You can fully feel the effects of it. I've always hated that argument. Well, you're not in my shoes, so you don't understand what I'm talking about. I don't have to be in your fucking shoes to understand what you're talking about. I can fully comprehend it because I got a brain. Now, I'm not saying it always works, but I got one and it works some of the time.
I respect my soldiers and our people, our civilians who work and support our warriors. I can't say just stop. Nobody will stop because everybody afraid that Putin will come back tomorrow.
Can I just comment on something? I mean, we're doing a podcast here and, my wife came home and she gave me a coffee. This sucker is, there's a lot of, you guys drink this shit? I mean, it's good, but folks, when you get a beard like this, you don't get it from drinking this lady stuff. You guys drink this, man. I drink my coffee like mud, like dirt, mud. But she said it was s'mores. So this is like my treat. I don't go out and get coffee much. I don't actually go out at all, really, or buy anything. So somebody gave us, I think it was Dizzy a while ago, gave us $5 for a cup of coffee. So thank you so much, Dizzy, in the chat. That's where that came from. I told you guys, I will only spend your money where you tell me to. And don't get freaky in the chat with me, okay? I'm not buying weird shit with your money, okay? Stop it. I know you guys do stuff like that. I love you to death. But don't be donating and tell me to buy weird stuff. It's either coffee or it's going to the show. Put my foot down on this one.
We want just and lasting peace.
You know who you are.
We want security guarantees. We raise this topic about NATO the quickest way, but not all the countries are on this side. I said, okay, if not NATO, nobody is pushing. If not NATO, let's build NATO in Ukraine. That's my position. Europeans are ready to have contingents on our territory, boots on the ground. United States thinks maybe to help.
I love you guys, man. We got the best community, dude. We really do. Because you guys know, we know each other so well in the chat as a community. You guys know there's people that have contributed in the past that want me to buy some stuff every now and then. I just want to give a shout out to everybody that donates. You guys are freaking awesome, but I just love hanging out with you. I'm blessed, man. I got cool. No. Yeah, we're going to move forward here. But I just want to say thank you, really. I appreciate you guys. And thanks for the fun and the laughs you always bring me. You guys are great.
Maybe USA backstop have to be just to guarantee that they are with Europeans. Look at Europe. It's strong. It became stronger, but they also want to have allies like the United States. That's what I said. I just want to understand what the peace. It's not my question, Brad. That is the question from all our people.
You mentioned when I traveled to the front lines with you last year to see the situation, to mark the anniversary of the war, and this is what you told me back then.
Will Ukrainians survive without Congress support? Of course, but not all of us. It will be tragedy for all of us, not only for Ukraine, not only for Ukrainians, for all Europe.
Yeah. So the question today is, can Ukraine win this war or hold off Russia without continued U.S. support?
It will be difficult for us. That's why I'm here. That's why we speak about the future negotiations. It will be difficult without your support, but we can't lose our values, our people. We can't lose our freedom. So a lot of people, Russians came to our territory, you know it. Russians came to our houses, and everybody knows, everybody saw it, video, images, a lot of things. They killed so many people. Just to forget it, just to say that Putin is a great guy? No, without us. We don't want it. That's why we speak about, Everybody remembered how it was the first days of the war, how they came. Nobody wants in Ukraine. Yes, of course, nobody will forget it, but nobody wants to have, again, new wave of occupation. That's why when we say, no NATO, what security guarantees can we have? I'm not pushing, we are not pressuring, we're just asking, we're just sharing very clear messages to our friends, to Americans.
Right.
If you stay with us, thank you so much, but let's do the infrastructure of security guarantees. Let's just share with our people, that America, stay with us. That's great. We count on it. But just to share it and to say it, that's all.
How does...
Come on. Nobody believes it, dude. Get out of here. Oh, well, we need security assurance. And then we'll sign an agreement. This is the problem. He keeps thinking that he has cards to be handed and dealt with. He doesn't have anything. He's just, honestly, this guy's basically just an observer. He has nothing. So I don't understand. I mean, really, I don't know what has to get through to this guy's head. I don't think there's anything. I mean, there's a lot of talks right now that they're trying to impeach this guy. We'll get to that later, but I've never seen anybody. It would be different, you guys. My conversation would be completely different if he had a single card. He doesn't have shit. This guy's, I know I'm cussing, but I'm giving you a taste of what dark mag is going to be like. So, Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, this is what it's going to be like. This guy doesn't have shit. I mean, his country's done if he's not with us. So I don't know why he's talking like, oh, well, you just need to share with us. I mean, yeah, I guess. But at the end of the day, you should probably just shut up and sign on the dotted line, my dude.
How does the war end? How do you...
This guy's like negotiation minerals with us. That was what was going on for the last 2 weeks, the mineral thing. Well, you can't have our minerals. You gave us a grant. That was just money you gave us through charity. We're not going to pay you back. This is how this guy's handling it. Is he insane?
Get to a deal. You're at a place right now where there is no deal. How do you get it back on track?
I think that Europe...
You kiss the... I can't even do it with a straight face. You kiss the ring of daddy's finger on live television. Smoochy, smoochy, just like Mexico, Canada, and Colombia and the others. Bend the knee, bend it, la la la.
Europe is ready for contingents and to help us with financing of big army, such big as we have now. This is our army, the part of security guarantees. Now we want to find the place for our biggest strategic partner, for the United States, or United States will propose where and how the United States will give us security guarantees, what kind of and what part of volume of security guarantees. And when we will be ready with this, we will come to diplomacy. To diplomacy, yes, with Russians, Europeans, United States, and we. Four of us, I think this is real way, because with weapon, it's too long, it's not enough. We don't have enough weapon to push them out, and we don't see now, for now, we don't see really big volume of new support from the United States, but with all respect again. So for today, we'll be ready with security guarantee. Really, when I say NATO, it's not about that we are focusing on this word. It's about very understandable infrastructure of security guarantees. And you see that no NATO countries, for today, no NATO countries been under attacks.
Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina, he has been a big proponent of you and of Ukraine, said this today after the meeting.
I have never been more proud of the president. I was very proud of J.D. Vance, standing up for our country. We want to be helpful. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again. He either needs to resign and send somebody over that we can do business with, or he needs to change.
So he says you need to consider resigning.
So I just want to address, there's a really great question in the chat. So, and it's just easier to address everybody as a whole. So that way there's no confusion. The way that the memberships work on YouTube is directly through YouTube themselves. And so if you want to become a member, when you click on join, it's going to give you an option at what tier list you want to be a part of. And so there's the 99 cents, which was created just so people can have the badges and fun stuff. And then there's the $4.99 and the $9.99 option. if you would like to do that. Nothing changes. There's no other perks. It's just because you felt generous. But Rumble does things slightly different. Rumble does their memberships through locals for some reason. So it's a weird way that you almost have to go to almost a third-party platform that's owned by Rumble to become a member. The goal of that is you could post stuff on there and articles and things like that. But I'm only one man, so it's a little bit tough to start posting on there more often, where a lot of people just have like other actual staff members part of their production. But I've been trying to stream also on locals while we're doing this, but for some reason it's bugged out. But also on Rumble Premium, which a lot of you are part of, that is going to be our evening show Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the only way you could see that is on Rumble Premium. The only way you could see that is by going to Rumble and having Premium. So when we do Dark MAGA podcast, I just want to be clear. This is the last time you're going to see a Dark MAGA podcast on YouTube or Twitter or even on Rumble. It will only be on Rumble Premium. So I want to be clear on that. I didn't want any confusion with anybody. And then there also is a new emoji on the Rumble site, and I'll post it. There is the receipts emoji, just a heads up for everybody that's there. I finally got that in there. So you have Caroline Levitt emoji there for you over at Rumble. So I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. Love you guys.
Is that on the table?
I don't know if he will be happy after.
Yeah, so your guys' subscriptions through locals, that gets sent to me, and then that goes back into the show. So it's no different than kind of how YouTube does the memberships over on their end. It just goes to me, and then it goes back into the show. So I definitely see it through locals and actually pings up for me. So I appreciate everybody. And it also gives you a badge, so I know who's a subscriber and a follower of the show over at Rumble. There's a badge next to your name.
My words, this decision can do only people of Ukraine.
You're not going to step down to do a peace deal.
No, I was always ready. I'm not sure that is a good idea for this such proposals. But anyway, I always said if United States will support NATO, so I think that it's enough for Ukraine. So I think I did all I had to do. And if somebody is not this happy with me, okay. But between us, yes, Americans vote for American president. Each European country vote for their president, and only Ukrainian. With all respect to Lindsay, if I can say Lindsay, we know each other.
It's kind of ballsy that this guy's going to talk about elections when he was supposed to have his election at the end of 2024. This guy very well might have not been reelected. So give me a break, dude. I'm talking about elections, dude.
Oh, yes, and only Ukrainians.
Democrats have had
their president.
Democrats have had the opposite reaction to the Oval Office meeting. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut posted this.
Here we go.
What just happened in the Oval Office was a planned ambush designed to help a brutal Russian dictator and hurt America's security. Trump has become Putin's lapdog, and America's global power is hemorrhaging as America sides with dictators over democracy. What an embarrassment.
You know, you got to give it up to Democrats for making themselves look really stupid in just 3 sentences. Everybody's born stupid, but it takes a lot of effort to remain stupid. And for some reason, Democrats just really pull it off. Here they are with the Russia thing again. Oh, he's a Russian agent. Some Democrats are actually saying that now. Donald Trump's a Russian agent. Here we are again. The same talking points.
Do you think the confrontation in the Oval Office today was pre-planned, like Senator Murphy suggests?
I don't know.
What?
You don't know? You think maybe?
I don't know. No. I don't. I don't know about it. I think no. I think it was just a really tough situation because we've been very open, very direct.
What set you off? What made you mad? Because they said your tenor and tone.
It's not about mad. It's not, Brad. You see, how to say, when you are in the United States, and for example, president or vice president or somebody or senators, it doesn't matter, big politicians, yes, when they, for example, say that Ukraine is almost destroyed, that our soldiers run away, that they are not heroes, that Ukraine lost millions of civilians, that his president is dictator.
I apologize. Outdoor Living. I don't know if I gave you a shout out on the Dark Maga swear jar. I appreciate it. The $2. I don't know if I read that or not, but it needs to be read now. Yeah. It was a New Year's resolution. The New Year's resolution goes out the door when we do our premiums. Okay. So that Tuesday, Thursday, if you don't like cussing, there's going to be a lot of it. I'm going unhinged.
You know, what is the reaction? It's not about me. The reaction is that where is our friendship between Ukraine and the United States? That's it. This is filling. And that's why I do not want to lose our great partners at the United States. And I just
now
said
we're great.
It's not the first time. I said it by phone, and we had some other conversations, and we had in Munich meetings, and I said, please, be correct. Just, I want to be very polite. I mean this, be correct with this number.
Oh,
when you
yeah,
say about
right.
the number, each person is important. When you say about 1 million of...
I want to be polite all of a sudden. Dude spent 45 to 50 minutes inside the Oval Office, rolling his eyes, crossing his arms, moving around, being smug. Give me a break, dude. I don't believe that one bit. You couldn't even wear a suit. Shut up.
Losses. We don't have any million of losses. Just when you speak about the territories, maybe some territories and etc., it's not just territory, it's houses, it's people's lives. You know, their fathers, mother, their relatives, grandfather, they died or during this war. Nobody wants to forgive Putin. It's not funny, you know, or fairy tale. This is real life. That's what I said. And when you said it, a lot of times to my big friends who've been here today in our dialogue, and then they again begin to repeat the same things, I think it's not, that's why I said it's not good way between partners, good partners and friends. That's it. And I think that if journalists asking questions to president, with all respect to vice president, he has his interview.
Mr.
This is our...
Wow, dude is doubling down. Oh my, what an idiot, dude. Talk about make matters worse. You have an opportunity. You gotta be kidding me, bro. This guy, he's so stupid. Oh my God. With all due respect, Vice President, this is our interview. Holy lordy, dude. Oh, man. Yeah. God, dude. Oh. I told you these people exist, man. It's freaking bonkers, dude. What an idiot. He just keeps going.
This dynamic, if you're going to be like this, be behind closed doors, not...
Of course. And
so do you regret that? Are you regretting that happened today?
Regretting? Yes, I think it was not good. I think it was not good because we had a lot of different dialogues. I'm always open to media, but there are very sensitive things. I just want to be honest, and I just want our partners to understand the situation correctly, and I want to understand everything correctly. That's about us. Not to lose our friendship.
A couple more things. What are the next steps in your mind? Here we are today. What are the next steps?
I think so. United States wanted this deal very much, and we've been not against this deal. But we wanted to understand what parts in security guarantees will take this deal and what next steps. Just again to understand for our people. During the war, what you don't like, even sometimes hate, surprises. It's understandable. Many terrible things this war brought to us. So we don't want any surprises. Yes, that's why we want to be very fair with our partners. And I think this deal, it was prepared by teams. It was not simple during weeks. And now it's ready. I think that they have to sign. The countries have to sign. The ministers have to sign. That's it. I don't know when they will do it. It depends on the American side.
So
exactly.
the minerals deal did not have security guarantees listed in it.
It's a part.
The security guarantees?
This is the part in the infrastructure of security guarantees. Because, for example, President Trump shared that I think so that if we will be there in some productions and etc. in minerals, that Putin will never come on this territory where we are. And I said to him, don't trust Putin. Why? I said, because it's not.
He doesn't get it. And you saw this in the Oval Office. Donald Trump is basing his negotiations and his deals on the fact that his presence alone and that Putin understands that Donald Trump doesn't mess around, that would be a deterrence enough for Putin not to keep doing what he's going to do. And he's basing that on what happened in his prior administration. Of course, Putin could do Putin could do anything he wanted. He could launch a fucking nuke right now if he wanted to. You got to deal with what's in the present and what's happening right now. These hypotheticals aren't always way to do negotiations. To some aspect, obviously, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? We should include that in the negotiations, blah, 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 all these things. Donald Trump is banking on the fact, because he's in office, people don't mess around. People perk up. They act a little bit different. And he doesn't get that. And I understand that he's scared because he's about to get his bleep pushed in because of his freaking egotistic personality. But you got to do what you got to do. And there's not the only thing that's going to create a security contingency, maybe, and this is a maybe, is them being a part of NATO, which is not going to happen.
I mean, we respect and we believe in strongness of the United States. But I said to him that we had more than 20 companies, American companies, big companies on the territory of Ukraine. And we had offices, even on temporary occupied territories. For Putin, it doesn't matter. It's American or European company or Ukraine. It doesn't matter. He just came and occupied it. That's what I said. I think this is a great idea, how to strengthen Ukraine and how to make business between two countries, how to make additional jobs for two countries. But it's not just these will not save us.
I read what the Democratic senator said, that Trump has become Putin's lapdog. Do you agree with that President Trump is too close to Vladimir Putin in your mind?
We spoke about it, and I think today, very openly, President Trump, he said that I want to be in the middle, otherwise I will not put these guys at the table.
And is he right?
I want to be very honest, I want really him to be more at our
what
side.
An idiot.
I will explain.
What an idiot. It's actually Christ, dude. Some crazy shit. This guy's I want to use a certain word, but I get upset if I use the R word. I'm sorry, people get upset if I use the R word. The IQ on this guy, it's low, man. It has to be. Look, even if let's just pretend, even if he thought that Democrat was correct in his freaking weird ass mind, if he's like, oh yeah, Donald Trump's a lapdog, this is how stupid this guy is. You would still say on TV, no, I don't think he's a lapdog. He's really harsh on Russia. Blah blah blah. Even if you had to make it up, what an idiot. Fucking dude. God, dude, I just.
And why? Because it's not just that the war began somewhere between our countries. The war began when Russia brought this war to our country, and they're not right. And they are not right. They didn't respect our territorial integrity. They brought the war on our territory to our families. Sorry for repeating, to our houses. And they're not right. And of course, all the Ukrainians want to hear strong position of the United States on our side. From one side, it's understandable. From another side, he wants to find some way of dialogue with Putin. But he always said, as I remember, he always said that peace through strength. And that's why I think that he's strong, United States strong, two parties together in this question, two parties always together against Russia. You're very strong to do strong steps against Putin.
Americans are.
Oh, I just want to give a shout out to Susan. Shout out for her being in the live chat. So it says, thank you, Karen. I just found you today. Love this channel. You guys are great. Thanks for being a part of our community. Now you're seeing a different side of the podcast. I just want to be obvious and open to you. We do a 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time podcast where we go over a bunch of different news. So what you're seeing here is more like long form stuff. We kind of catch up on some things. So I just want to be clear, this is a different format than what we normally do here on the show. But come hang out with us in the mornings on weekdays, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for our normal program, The Bald Brad Show. And if you want to get a little bit of what that looks like, we have our video catalog there for you. And you come hang out with us. We'd love to have you.
Worried about where the money has gone.
Yeah.
Will there be a very rigorous accounting of where the money has gone? It seems like there is some question about whether there's corruption or sold military equipment.
No, it can't be so. 100 billions we've got during 3 years.
183 from the U.S.
Yeah. Now, on the paper, in the documents, yes. But we have, in fact, because 67 came like a weapon. It came through the border. It's checked and it's fixed by everybody, and we shared it not once with the American side, and 31.5 it was direct financial support to the budget. Again, it's very open. It's digitalized. It's open, free, and please, if
just when you think it can't get worse, man. Hey, if Americans are curious about where their money's going, do you think that you could do an audit and track all of it? No, definitely not. Definitely cannot do that. It's not a conspiracy theorist when I say they lost was it like $40+ million or something like that? It was just gone, you guys. They can't account for it. They don't know where the fuck it went. That's not me this is every mainstream news site, both Democrat, Republican, posted about it. And then they've also sold our weaponry in the black market. That's not my words. And Democrats go, well, where's the receipts on that one? Can you pull up the news article for me? No, pull it up your fucking self. You're an adult. You can do it yourself, Democrats. It's amazing, right? Oh, well, show me the receipts. It's like, first of all, why don't you join our normal podcast and then you'll have the receipts? And second of all, why don't you just Google the damn thing yourself? You're a capable adult. You're an able-bodied person.
If somebody wants to check it again, we are very, very open with this.
Last thing, Mr. President.
Yeah.
We're very open with it, but you can't audit us. Oh, yeah. No. In the same paragraph, he freaking contradicts himself. Fuck. I'm so glad we're watching this together. I'm so glad we're here. Holy crap. This is giving me Corinne Jean-Pierre flashbacks. I have PTSD.
Do you think your relationship with Donald Trump, President Trump, after today, can be salvaged?
Can be. Yes, of course, because it's relations more than two presidents. It's the historical relations, strong relations between our people. And that's why I always began with to thank your people from our people. And this is the most important. And of course, thankful to President and of course to Congress, but first of all to your people. Your people help to save our people. People.
There you go.
First, human rights.
It took him, if you take a combination of the 50-minute Oval Office to say thank you, plus the 22 minutes here, it took him over an hour to say thank you to the American people and sound to be somewhat sincere about it. Wow.
The first, this is very, very important, and we are thankful and sorry for this. I mean, we wanted very much to have only strong relations, and I very count that we will have it.
Mr. President, we're honored.
And you want to know how I know he doesn't know what he's doing and that whoever his team is not educating him on it? That apology came at the end of the interview. Most people nowadays do not watch long form content. They don't watch. Like, the fact that people watch an hour-long podcast is rare. Most people only catch 11 to 15 minutes, 25% of a podcast if you're lucky. Most people only watch. You would have made that apology at the beginning of the segment so that those that are tuning in would listen to your apology and you being sincere about it. Very foolish. Even if Brett would have asked a question, he should have said, excuse me, I would like to take an opportunity to talk to the American people as well as the president and vice president to the camera just really quick, if I may. And then you start off with an apology. It would totally change the entire interview, the dynamics of it. And you'd have a buy-in probably from the American people, especially if you're willing to say, look, I screwed up. I really apologize. That was really unprofessional of me. From the reporter saying I should have wore a suit, and you should have just wore a suit. I mean, what he could have done as well is just, even if you didn't have a suit on him, go fucking buy one. Have your PR team go buy you a suit and show up in one, and then mention that in your apology segment right at the beginning. Even could completely disregard his question and say, I want to formally apologize to the president of the United States, the vice president, and to the American people. I first want to apologize with even my appearance. It was disrespectful from the get-go. I went and bought a suit today. I want to then now, something like that. Just start off like that. Your appearance would show the apology that you actually mean it, because you're flowing through not just with your words, but also your actions. Folks, it's small things like that that make a difference. It's all subliminal too. Now, the question would be like, why would you wear a suit on Brett Byers' show and not to the Oval Office? Well, that's where you would address that in your apology right on the get-go. So God, his team sucks. I would fire them all. Somebody get me on their PR team. I like to think about those types of things, how people function, how people tick. Now, my demeanor, I'm fully aware that I cut off a lot of people from the country. I cut off a lot of Americans with my tone and my rhetoric. I completely get that. The show is meant to be that way. I could talk a totally different way and act a totally different way to buy in more of the Democrats and the progressive left. My job is to call it the hypocrisy of the left, as well as the Democrats and the mainstream media. That's the whole purpose of the show. And then to push conservative thought and ideas out there to people. That is the purpose. I could very easily change my tone and rhetoric to be like, oh, we could talk about Democrats and things that they do well and all this stuff, but that's not the point of the show. And I understand that I'm totally disengaging half the country, basically. Well, it is what it is. The show is what it is. If you're new here, subscribe or just hit that. So following and subscribing are two the same things. They're absolutely free. If you want to join us, we have a membership. I want to jump to this interview here with Stephen Miller, who we love here, good old Stephen. And if I can find it, he was on Fox News after Zelensky, and here he is defending Donald Trump. And we love Stephen Miller. Here we go.
I don't think anybody had any idea that Zelensky would be so impertinent, so disrespectful, so insulting to the United States of America. Look, this is one of the great moments in the history of American diplomacy. The way that President Trump and J.D. Vance stood up for American interests on the world stage, the way that President Trump defended Americans after years of being fleeced and abused and taken advantage of and taken for granted, millions of American hearts swelled with overflowing pride today to watch President Trump put Zelensky in his place. The only reason that Zelensky has a country, that Zelensky is in power, is because of the United States. Americans have suffered economically, funding this war now for years. American security has been degraded, our stockpiles depleted, our ability to project power in other regions of the world negatively affected to protect and defend Ukraine. Americans probably don't even know the true extent of just how much military support on multiple levels and fronts America has provided to Ukraine. And then this man shows up in the Oval Office and lectures us, says we have to do more, says we're not as good as Europe, says that we need to provide them a forever war guarantee, fight Russia till the end of time. No American watching that today says they want to send their sons and daughters to die on behalf of Zelensky. And President Trump was clear and firm and principled, saying either you're our partner for peace in ending this war, or we can't work with you. And Zelensky, for the first time since this has begun, finally met a Western leader willing to assert their own interests. the interests of their own country and not bow down to and venerate
He's
this
right.
man as a messianic figure. Americans have watched with horror as Zelensky has been treated as a messiah. Our hearts all break for the suffering and loss and death. But you know what would be even worse? World War III. And today, President Trump said, we are not going to let this escalate into World War III. He defended the Oval Office, he defended the White House, and most importantly, he defended the American people. And I was honored and proud to be there to witness this moment in history.
Damn, Stephen, he's good. He's one of the greats. He says what we're all thinking. And he does it in a way that smacks people around, but it's so clear and it's easy to understand. It's easy to understand. I also want to give a shout out to, I think the name is Sheila Upton over there on Rumble. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for welcoming all of us as well. Thank you so much for joining us again. I hope that you subscribe and be a part of our normal podcast in the morning, our live chats. We got a lot of new people following us here, and great to have you. If you're new here, jump into the chat. We got a lot of lurkers that they just listen in, but they don't actually write in the chat. One of the fun parts of our community here is, of course, smacking around Democrats, stuff like that. Of course, that's always gonna be a part of the agenda. But the other part is the community. You got to come hang out with us. We got a lot of regulars in here. We know each other by name. We're here all the time. So come hang out with us. And if you're not a member and you're here every day, why aren't you a member? Become one. We would love to have you. Now, Secretary Marco Rubio's come out now. I mean, there's a whole bleep storm from this. And he's even saying Zelensky owes Trump an apology for Oval Office fiasco. I think what Zelensky should do is a formal apology on camera, directly to the camera. And I think that will help things out. But it's not going to go well for Zelensky at all. And they kicked him out of the White House, man. I mean, has you guys ever heard of anybody being kicked out of the White House? I hand to God, when I was watching the Oval Office segment that we did a video on yesterday, I really thought that they were going to kick him out in real time. I thought Trump was going to be like, get his ass out of here. Everybody out, get out of here. I thought he was going to do that. I can't believe they even let it go on. I mean, he cut it off pretty quick, but boy, oh boy, that was something. Some firecrackers going off. And I love how Trump handled it. The Democrats don't, because they're whiny little babies. Here's another thing. I always love showing clips like this. It has maybe nothing to do with, let's watch it. No, it's too long. Sorry. I'm teasing you guys. I apologize. I don't want to show that because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it was fun nonetheless. What I think we will do here is, I think we'll actually end the stream. We've been going on for 3 hours, longer than I thought we would. I thought we'd only be here for a couple hours, but that is today's podcast. Will we go live tomorrow? Hell, I don't know. But what you can guarantee is weekdays, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we do our normal podcast here on the Bald Brad channel for The Bald Brad Show. And then now, he's going to do it. I know what you're doing, Jason, damn you. I'll read it, but it's only because you gave the money. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, you guys, this is why we're the best community, but damn you guys. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to have a Dark MAGA podcast, which is what you saw. More long-form videos like this, and a lot more spiciness involved. And we will be wearing the hat, as you could see. But that is on Rumble Premium only. So I just want to be aware. I don't want people to think like, hey, he's doing something Tuesday, Thursday nights, but I don't see it on X. I don't see it on Twitter, and I can't access it on Rumble. Well, you have to have Rumble Premium. That is why. That's going to be our evening podcast, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I just want to be clear. And the reason why, you guys, is I'm a part of the Rumble Creator Program now. With the Rumble Creator Program, I have to, according to contract, do 5 hours on Rumble Premium only. So it's not like, well, you can maybe like, why are you doing that? That's so weird. Why are you making us pay for that? Blah, blah, blah. For us to grow here, we are now through Rumble, and I have to. So I just want to be clear. I know you guys are understanding of that. I just want you guys to know that it's not me picking that time frame. It's that's what they want us to do. So, and I think we'll have fun doing it. All right. So this is what Jason said. Tarbox, the $5. Not only is he donating $5, the man is a supporter plus and a subscriber. Always donating. So that's why. Zelensky, you're sorry now. Apologize, retard. There you go. Shit. Said the word I didn't want to say because the left lose their mind and they clip it. Oh, he said retarded. I mean, that is the definition of low IQ. So Jason is completely in the right. And thank you so much for your contribution, the $5. Thank you. And thank you for always supporting the show, guys. I appreciate that. It helps out a lot, especially trying to grow. With that being said, have a lovely Saturday. Do something great for somebody, no matter who it is. Maybe it's a loved one. Give them a hug. Give them a kiss if it's your husband or your wife. I don't know. Do the dishes or something. Hell, do something nice for somebody. And I'll try to do the same thing on my end. With that being said, have a lovely weekend. And we'll be back here for sure Monday. Probably a video out tomorrow. But nonetheless, I will see you next week, folks. Have a blessed weekend. Take care of one another. Bye-bye, Patriots.